Good evening all. Live chat 118 here on Brooks's Bass Corner. It's Tuesday night, 8 p.m. here in London town, here in the UK. Hope you're all safe and well. Hope everything's going okay where you are. Hopefully you can hear this. Hopefully it's in stereo. I know we had a few sound issues last week. Had some things going on with the sound card. But anyway, got it sorted. So hopefully this is all hitting you technologically as it should be. So hope everything's good where you are. If you've got any questions about bass guitars, bass amps, bass effects, great bass players, albums with great bass playing on. If you're looking for some advice in buying your first bass, maybe you got loads of basses and you got some money burning a hole in your pocket. If you want some help, want some advice, bit of info, this is the place to do it. You're amongst friends. As long as you're here to talk basses, we're all good. If you come onto the channel and you're aggressive and obnoxious and sweary, it's not going to happen, is it? So it's all good. So here we are, Tuesday night, it's 17th of June 2025. I had planned tonight was going to be a vertical live stream, but I realised once I came in the StreamYard and started mucking around with various settings, I was going to have to start mucking around with the camera as well. And I thought, I haven't got time to do that before we go live. So what I'm planning is from the 1st of July, which is in 2 weeks' time, we will do a month. We'll run through July, try and vertical live streams on the regular Tuesday live chat. Seems to be a thing, correlation between YouTube and my channel. Vertical live streams seem to work. So we will try it out, see if it works. If it does, fabulous. If it doesn't, fair enough. But at least I can make sure all the gear, StreamYard, YouTube, it's all set up, doing that thing. So it's all cool. If you've just come across... Jay, I can see you there, man. I'll bring you to screen shortly. If you've just come through from the very short vertical live stream I just did, come on in. You're welcome. It's good to see you. I just did a little preamble video to see who was online, basically, see who's watching the channel, watching bits and bobs. So if you've come through from that, you're very welcome. You're amongst friends. As I say, if you're here to talk bass guitars, bass amps, bass effects, great bass players, all that sort of thing, you're very welcome. So we have a theme for tonight. I thought it would be interesting. We haven't done a theme live chat for a little while, so I thought we'd go down an avenue for a change. We're going to talk Mark King. We're going to talk level 42. A huge influence on me, huge influence on a lot of the guys who come in, guys and girls who come in here on the regular Tuesday night live chats. And we've not done a level 42 Mark King chat for a long time, and I thought it was about time we did it, quite frankly. They're out on tour at the end of the year. They're doing festival shows at the moment all over the place, not just the UK or Europe. They're off to Japan, Asia, all over the shop. So if you want to talk about Mark, talk about level 42, that'd be fabulous. That's what we're talking about. Ideally, I'd like to know your favorite Mark King level 42 moments. So it might be a single, might be a B-side, might be an album, might be a hidden album track, might be a solo, might be a performance that you've seen. It might be a track within a performance. So let me know. That's what we're talking about today. That's what we're going to discuss. So if you've not been here on the live chats before, let me give you a very quick resume on what we do here. So this is the video window. If you're on the mobile app, live chat window's directly below. If you're on the desktop version, it's that way. At the bottom of the live chat window, you'll see a box that says chat or comment. You put your insertion point in there, or cursor, call it what you like. Type your question or comment, press send, it'll appear here in my live chat window. Then I can respond to it, as can all the other fine people here on Brooks's Bass Corner live chat. Underneath the video window, you're going to see a thumbs up and a thumbs down. The best thing you can do for me and the channel and the videos, give it a thumbs up. It's a huge indicator to the YouTube algorithm that you're enjoying the video, enjoy what the channel does. So please give it a thumbs up. That goes for every video here on the channel. If you don't like it or something doesn't work for you and you're going to give it a thumbs down, then please leave a comment. If I don't know what the problem is or what's wrong, I can't fix it. So thumbs ups if you enjoy it. If you're not enjoying it, then a thumbs down, and please leave a comment. Feel free to share any of the videos as well as this live chat out to social media, email, websites. Again, leaving comments in the comments box is fabulous. Please do that. Carry on the chat. So even if you're watching this live chat after the event, we can carry on the conversation. It doesn't just stop here. So if you see something in this live chat and you think, I want to ask him about that, you can. Just leave a message in the comment section and it's all good. I see a few people popping in. Eric Wombat, here we go. This is what I'm talking about. That's why I just did that vertical live stream. You force... put my teeth back in. You first saw level 42 at Ilford Palais in 1982. Now, I bet that was a gig and a half. Seen them on every tour since. So looking forward to seeing World Machine at the Palcadou. Do you mean Hammersmith? I don't know where Palcadou is. So very good. Sandwich Rat, how are we doing today? We're good. We're good. So back to the general housekeeping of the live chat. So comments, shares, thumbs up. Very important. Very good. Thank you very much. In the description box, you will find timestamps. So from about midday tomorrow, this video will be time-stamped up. So you can zip through it if you wish to, if you're watching it after the event. Or you can go in the description box, see what we've spoken about, and then click on the timestamps to go to that section if you want to do that. That's all cool. There's then affiliate links for the Bass Centre here in the UK. So if you're thinking about a Betsy bass, Elite Strings, any of the Bass Centre merch, any of their fabulous instruments, there are affiliate links there. So if you're thinking about a Betsy or anything else that the Bass Centre sell, if you use the affiliate link in that description box, you go through with a sale or a purchase or what have you, we get very small affiliate commission, but all those small commissions add up to a bigger amount. There's then affiliate links for Top Cashback, vidIQ, StreamYard. And if you've got any bass related purchases, we have affiliate links with Amazon, Thomann and Andertons here in the UK. You'll also find affiliate links for Brooks's Bass Corner merch. We have caps, t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, phone covers, all sorts. 170 items, 15 different designs. If you're looking for the Mark King quote t-shirt that I wore one last week on last week's live chat, they're in there in the merch store, so help yourselves. But there are, as I say, about 170 items, 15 different designs. Check it all out. Again, it helps the channel, and you get something for buying something. We get a small affiliate commission. Now, while you're watching the live chat, in the live chat window at the bottom where the comment and chat box is, next to that you'll see an emoji icon. Give that an absolute pasting because the algorithm likes that. Helps the video, helps the channel. And next to that you'll see a rectangle with a dollar symbol in it, and that's called Super Chat. So if you want to help the channel, help me, help the videos, you can make a financial donation to the channel by using that super chat. Now, you don't have to. Watching the videos is free. We're a monetized channel. But if you find something that's useful or informative or educational and you think, I'm glad I knew that, you can help the channel using super chat. If you're watching a video outside of a live chat, there is the same facility, but it's called Super Thanks. And it sits on that row of icons underneath the video window. So you'll see a dollar symbol in a love heart. That's called Super Thanks. Again, allows you to make a financial donation to the channel, because everything you see on the channel, all the basses, the pedals, the amps, microphones, stands, cameras, leads, lights, audio interfaces, the whole caboodle comes out of my pocket. So if you want to help me, help the channel, keep the videos coming, that you've got the super chat option on the live chat and you've got Super Thanks on a regular video. Right, housekeeping done. Let's get into this. So, Eric Wombat, first saw level 42 at Ilford Palais in 82. Seen them on every tour since, so looking forward to seeing World Machine at the Palcadou. Sandwich Rat, we said hello to you. Palladium, I thought that's what you meant. Mike, what's your public email address? brooksysbasscorner@gmail.com. It's running along the bottom of the screen on a red ticker. Send me that. I see it as it pops up here in the inbox. Gareth, here we go. Good. David Barker, new to this live chat. Really good. Saw level 42 at Hammersmith. What, on the last tour or years ago? So if you want to post again, let me know which year. That'd be fab. So my level 42 story. It's going back some way. Late 82, early 83. Heard Chinese Way on the radio. I was already a Duran Duran fan, Big Queen fan, Chic fan. Thought, I like that song. Kept an eye on them, as you did in the 80s, because bands sprang up every week. There was a new band on the TV, on the radio, and every time they had a single out or an album, you'd see them on the telly, and it was like, yeah, this is good. I like this. And then eventually World Machine came out, Something About You, bang, that was it. Blue touch paper, lit, gone, lovely. Thank you. I like this lot. Got the album. Didn't go and see them. And I don't know why. Until the Staring at the Sun tour went on the last night, January. I think it was January the 12th, 89. It's the night that the Live at Wembley CD was recorded. And that was it. Sold hook, line and sinker. I already sold hook, line and sinker, but it was just like, whoa. And that created my love of Alembic basses. I was there, Block C, Mark doing his thing. It was amazing. Audible audio experience I'd never experienced before. To hear an Alembic in full battle mode through all the trace rig and the effects, everything he had for that tour, it was outstanding. I was like, right, that's it. I'm converted for this this brand of basses. That's why I've got 3 of them now. Followed the band, was there for the last tour. Met Mark in 2000. Already knew his brother. We work on the same cover circuit. Met Mark at Jazz Cafe. We're a little bit of a falling out. He was a little bit drunk and a bit cantankerous, and I wasn't particularly willing to hear him being cantankerous and rude, so it was like I left. And I didn't see the band again until I went 2001. I went, and then I didn't see them again until now. Crikey, 2014. Yeah, 2014. And then I ended up interviewing him over and over and over again for the magazine, for Bass Guitar magazine. And we started to build a rapport. So I saw him on the day Jack Bruce died, playing in Watford Coliseum. And we'd just done an interview with him a couple of months earlier. He went, "Oh, Mike, Bass Guitar magazine." I went, yeah, that's me. So it was cool. And then I interviewed him at his flat in London the following year, 2015. What's the date? Right, 17th today. On the 23rd, it'll be 10 years since we were sat in his flat, me and my editor. And he was absolutely fabulous. He was outstanding that day. He was on good form. And then, let me think. We would bump into each other at various sort of musical things. I bumped into him at the Jack Bruce Memorial screening, 2018. And I did an interview with him after Gizmodrome came out. And it was like meeting an old mate. He said, "Come here, I've got to give you a big cuddle." I was like, okay. It was baking hot. And Stuart Copeland we'd already bumped into, and it was an entertaining kind of day. And we got on great. And now we talk on WhatsApp occasionally. I don't bombard the guy. But if I've got a question or something comes up on social media, we've had various things on the various Level 42 fan groups over past year or so, people asking questions, and I'm thinking, well, I know the answer. You put the answer up and someone then comes back, no, it's definitely this. And it's like, I've got the hotline. So I ask him, what about this? What about that? And he'll come back. And if he remembers, he'll answer. And if he goes, I can't remember, and then that's the answer. So you have to go with it. We were talking about guaranteed, which basses were used on which tracks. And someone got a bit cantankerous. And I thought, you're talking crap. I know the answer. And so I messaged him and said, what bass you use on that track? And he said, I can't remember. So that's where we are. But anyway, we occasionally converse and it's all good. Haven't seen him for a while. But I'm sure when we next cross paths, it'll all be good. Looking forward to seeing the World Machine tour at the end of the year. Going to go to a couple of dates, so it's all good. Right then, let's get into this. Vissog, good to see you. Evening all, Brooksy, just getting the right channel. Just you? No, there are other people here. We've got 24 people watching. Gareth Harrison, only getting you on the right channel. Hold on. Let me just... Is that better? Reply, Gaz. You tell me. There's a button on this audio interface. And if I click the wrong one, I think it's that's doing it. Am I still only on the right channel? I don't know. Try that. That better? It's great, isn't it? Still on right only. Still? I've got 3 buttons here. If not, it might be a cabling issue, in which case, no, okay. What about that? Is that working? It's great, isn't it? These are the technical difficulties of doing live chat. See through head, good to see you. Still, blimey, what's going on? Could be the cable. Hope it's not. Is that better? Hey, no, we're going to go with it. Let me just check the audio settings. No, that's all right. That's all good. I don't know. It says stereo audio, so I'll check it. We'll get back on track for next week. Don't worry, I'll do a test run. Right, I'm going to bring these fine gentlemen to the screen. Are you ready, Jay? Are you ready, Richard? Here we go. Bringing you both. I'll get my headphones on. 2 seconds. Then I can hear you. Then we're rocking and rolling, aren't we? There we are. Very good. Right, let's go. There we are. Now we got you. I can hear. Hello. You all right?
Good evening.
Jay's there too. Excellent. Here we go. Now
I've got
me repeating in my ears.
You have, yeah. Big echo.
Right. There's something going on here. Something's changed. That better? That's got it.
Yep.
Yeah. Excellent. Something has happened within StreamYard. They keep changing a few settings every week. And it's like, you don't know what it is. And you've got to go back in and reset all your settings. So, right. I'll have a tech day on Sunday. Get all this right. How are we both? All right?
All good.
Excellent. Your screws are in the post.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry that happened.
Oh, that's nice.
Let me get rid of this banner.
Look at the damage.
That's it.
Very nice.
Nasty.
Like
That's parcel force.
Furious.
And like you say, there was no evidence of any damage on that packing box. So all I can think is the guy damaged it, packing it up for you, and he hasn't been honest. But
no, he seems absolutely genuine, and all I can think of is it's been smacked in the box.
But the thing is, if there's no impact on the cardboard box, how? There was nothing else in the case.
There's a few little chips of the paintwork that's damaged, so it could be. But yeah,
I had a base. I bought a base off eBay back in about 2009. It was a lovely Korean flame maple topped jazz. You sometimes see them just bass and treble boost on it. Nice looking thing, wasn't particularly expensive. And the guy sent it, and when it arrived, oh my days, the box literally, it was like someone had whacked a shovel through it. And so you had the parcel force packing carton and then a cardboard base box, and it had gone straight through and literally knocked 3 of the controls straight through to the control cavity. And if you took the plate off the back, you could see it. It was like, I contacted the guy, said, I'm really sorry, mate, but I can't accept this. And you've got insurance, you've sent it by parcel force, you're going to have to claim it back. And he went, oh, but my base is with you. I said, you're in Manchester and I'm gigging there in 2 days' time. Let me meet you. I'll give it straight back to you. I said, but I can't accept this, not for like 600 quid. It's just luck of the draw. But this is why very rarely now do I buy a bass that I'm not physically going to collect. It's like,
I'm in the stick, so it's pretty difficult.
Yeah.
then again, I did pick that up yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, I need to.
That's
I
nice.
only have one of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a tenner.
Reviewed one of them. A tenner. Well, there's your pub bass straight away.
Yeah. It's still got the cellophane on the pick guard. I mean, it was an absolute shit show, pardon me, but when as in dust and crap on it, but that's part of the fun of it, cleaning it all up.
That's it. Absolutely. 10 quid, you cannot argue at that.
Well, it did need strings.
Oh, well, again, if you need a bass for the pub, there you go.
I have I have those ready.
There you are. There you are. That'll be fine. Stick them on. It'll be play a treat. No, those Aria jazzes are good. Yeah. No, they're very good basses.
Well, that's the other one which I think you know about.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Marcus. Very nice.
Yeah. One of those.
Here's mine. Mine's here somewhere. Oh, there it is.
Not that we should be talking about Marcus Miller today, obviously.
Oh, well, we can. You know, I said to Mark that time you two did an album together, but he always laughs that one off. So yeah, that's with a John East retro.
Mine's a non-Marcus.
Yeah.
Elite.
Very nice basis. Very nice basis. So, my friend, you can wax. Sorry, get back to the microphone. You can wax lyrical about Mark King, as can I. So, what's your favourites? What are your, what's your favourite bits and bobs?
I don't know if it was on Ultimate 42 where someone put that, didn't they? What's your favourite moment? And I think I started off. There's a section in 43 where they just about to come back to the main riff. It's on about 5 minutes 40, but Mark just kicks off with an open E and sort of does a little riff, and it's just such a build up and it's such a tight groove. Don't get me wrong, 43 is one of my favourites. Full stop.
Likewise.
What a riff. But there's I don't know if you've seen it. I put on YouTube. There was I think I was at one of those shows or that shows. It was the Jazz Cafe. It was either 2000 or 2001 when Mark was playing.
Did he have
2000? Alembic. Yeah,
2000. Yeah.
And I got a bootleg copy of it, and it had 88 on it. And
that's right.
The guy that recorded it had a mini disc recorder. So even back then, it was pretty damn good quality.
Yeah.
And Mark did a solo on 88. And obviously, small crowd, doing what he wants. And that video, because it's got no visual, doesn't get many views.
Of course. But
absolutely, I love the Alembic. I love the Jaydee. Status is probably third. I love some bits when the King bass is meaty. I know you're going to swear at me.
He's horrified. Richard's horrified.
No, I mean, I like it when Mark has more of a... Mark Status has a lovely sound, but he tends to go for the very clean sound. But sometimes when he just beefs it up a bit, I put on the... Another one is that 2003 Jakarta gig they did. There was a few...
Yes. Yeah.
And I put on the Almost There one they did to start the gig. And Mark's tone on that, I think it was on the Princess, was so meaty, but still had that clean clarity of the Status. I was sold on getting King bass, but I've just never quite got one yet.
Yeah,
it was a toss-up.
I think he was getting a lot of that tone from when he was using the Ashdown rig. So he couldn't get it as clean as he wanted it to, but the Ashdowns inherently have that fatter. It's not like a dirtier tone. It's like a thickness, like it's been rolled in chicken oil or something. It's that kind of thing. But, whereas obviously when he's going through TC, or when he was going through the TC stuff, it was hyper clarity.
Oh God, yeah.
It's like going through a medical.
What's the it's on one of the live CDs where they're playing almost like it was during they recorded one track off Retroglide. They did it live, but with no audience.
Okay.
It was like Rooted or something like that, and the sound on that Status was so clinically clear. It was almost like you're shouting at them to chuck the bass up a bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can hear everything perfectly, but you're just thinking, Mark, just tweak it a bit. But I think Mark's sort of tone has changed over the years anyway. Yeah, even with the JDs now, he's still not as full fat as he used to be.
No,
the mids are reeled back a bit, or whether it's a change of equipment, not using the trace Elliots anymore.
I think it's that. I think the trace and the JD was a combination in themselves. Hence why so much of it sold at the time.
Some segments to mine here. The trace.
And back then, you didn't have the array of bass amplification choice that you now have. No. So back then you either used Ampeg, you used high watt, you used Marshall, acoustic,
Laney's and things,
lower end stuff, or Trace, and that was it. And the whole thing for Trace was clean, projection, power without
Mhm.
distortion, which is why back then you saw very few rock bands. It wasn't until we got through to like the late 80s and early 90s that bands like Genesis, Bon Jovi, more of the rock brigade suddenly went, oh, actually this stuff, once they found how to use it and get their sound, suddenly it was like open up a whole different market. But for 10 years, you know, very few rock bands would go near Trace stuff because in their heads.
When did Mark get the deal with Trace? Or when he started?
81, 81, I think.
Because if you listen to his tone 81 to 86, 87, it's so drastically different each. Sometimes even on the same tour and the same gig. But it depends what he's set up and happy with at the time. But you know, more. I mean, I always get shot down in flames. But the sound at the live at Wembley.
Not here you won't. Not here you won't.
All is good.
You can have an opinion here.
No, but the live at Wembley, the Jaydee's lost. It's not.
That's the way it was all mixed. And
I know,
also,
but it's still over affected for me. Too many effects. It wasn't raw enough.
They went in and re-recorded quite a bit of it, which was something they didn't do with Fait Accompi. I remember Mark in an interview saying there are members of the band that would like to go in and adjust a few. I'm guessing he meant Mike and Gary, or Mike and Alan. And he said, "We're not going to do that. We've already fallen foul of that before with the live at Wembley thing."
I think there's some of the bootlegs from the American tour they did in '86.
Yeah,
and
Philadelphia.
And they were like gearing towards, I suppose, I don't know if it's more to try and help towards the American market, but there was more effects on the drums, more effects on the bass, the vocals, and it kind of lost it.
I think some of that might
didn't lose what they were, but you know.
No, I think what a lot of that was, they'd come out of 85 and suddenly they were going into a different stratosphere, if you like. They were now starting to do arenas. They were starting to do support tours, and they had to jump up from being this Hammersmith sized band to being this Wembley Arena, you know, 40,000 seat stadium supporting Tina Turner, Steve Winwood, Madonna. You have to change, because you can't be that provincial band that plays at Gold Diggers in Chippenham. You know, you've suddenly got to be this band that's playing at Hollywood Bowl. And there's 40,000 people. And also, what also changes then is the people in your crew. So you may have had like a regular sound man. I think they've had the same sound man pretty much most of the time. But you then find other people coming in, but also gear technology changing. I remember in the mid-80s, Genesis made this big deal about they were the first band to take on Vari-Lights and new mixers and this and that. And all of that gear was changing, because back then, technology for music gear was literally changing month by month. You'd pick up a copy of the Roland monthly magazine, and every month there was a new keyboard, there was a new mixer, there was a new this, new that. See you, Gaz, bring you on. Hold on. So all of those things were kicking in, you know, and they.
I can make this full screen, by the way.
Say again.
Can I make it on full screen on StreamYard?
If you wish, you'll go. You need to spin your camera widthways.
Right, gotcha. Well, that'll bugger you up.
I can do. No, it won't. I can do that.
I'll do the same.
Oh, he's gone. Or we can go down the side.
Hang on, I'm trying to.
There we are. There we are.
There we go.
Get rid of the so anytime new gear, whether it was like hi-fi stuff, video, anything audio. I remember seeing adverts from Sony with Mark in them advertising the latest CD player. I wouldn't have anything less. This is my.
Yeah, seen that.
So all of those sort of things, they were taken on as the, if you like, the harbingers of new technology. It didn't matter what it was.
Yeah.
Level 42 are that. You know, Mark doesn't use anything that isn't expensive. Same with Mike. New keyboard comes out, Mike Lindup gets one. New drums come out, level 42 get one. And that's kind of where they were. So yes, it's not surprising there was that audio change. But then it's like you come through to like 80s, compare the 87 tour with the 88, 89 tour. Sound is radically different. and yet they were playing in the same venue. So they were still doing NEC, still doing Wembley, all of those sort of things. But the bass
For
changed.
musicians as well, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Gary's sound was completely different. I mean, I knew of Gary Husband before because of Alan Holdsworth. Don't get me wrong. When Gary took over, I was 11, and I think I was heartbroken. but I knew, because my dad was massively into fusion, that I knew who this guy was, and my dad told me about Gary Husband. Oh yeah, I saw him when he was about 20 at Holdsworth concert, going between keyboards and drums, and blew the place away. So but yeah, the sound difference between like Boone's sound and Alan's sound, that changed the whole everything. Massively. I mean, Alan had a lot more effects, filled the sound a lot further than Boone, because Boone was quite sort of a hemmed in sound, wasn't he?
Yes.
Didn't go big.
It was a sound designed for clubs.
Yeah.
So then when they were out doing arenas, suddenly you've got to deal with all the reverb and the slapback. And I've done a few gigs like that in arenas, and you play a note and you think, oh, it's gone. And suddenly the note comes back like a couple of seconds later, and it's really off-putting, especially if you've then got a monitor that's playing it in real time. And the thing you played 2 seconds ago has just hit your ears. It's like, how? But you have to cope with it, and you just trust into that position, and you got to deal with it.
Actually says that on Fait, Accompi, doesn't he? He comes out of just off stage, and he says about the slapback at one of the venues.
Yeah, I think that was the Ahoy in Rotterdam, because it was all concrete walls, and it's like a cycling arena normally,
Gotcha.
or whatever that I can't. It's not the Ziggo Dome. It's those sort of venues, and they're not built, as he said. In fact, a lot of the venues we play aren't built for music. They're barns. It's just a big cavernous venue with a big high ceiling, and you stick lights in it and a huge PA, and away you go. And that was what led to them wanting to do the Hammersmith and the smaller venues, was to go back to the better sound, the better visual, more for the audience to get involved with. But that was
that Hammersmith one was the first time I actually saw them.
Right.
Yeah, first night, 5th of December 1990. I just turned 13, and I remember how hot Loudwater was. I still remember bits of the effects down the venue rippling when they played "Set Me Up" and stuff like that. Absolutely loved it.
Well, I got very lucky because a friend of mine's sister was at Cardiff Uni. And no one knew about this unless you were at those universities. We didn't have the internet back then.
Mm-hmm.
So they lined up 3 warm-up shows prior to the start in Hammersmith. So they lined up Cardiff Uni on the 1st of December. They did Leeds Uni the following night. And then they did Norwich UEA on the Monday. So it was Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then they were started 2 days later. So I got the first public playthrough of the guaranteed tracks, and it was like in a university, but it was like it wasn't like a university bar, it was like a university hall.
But was Mark playing the Status or the Alembic? Because on the clip that they showed of them rehearsing, Mark's playing the Alembic.
There's, as far as I know, there's no footage of Cardiff. I've never seen any back then. People
I've just seen if you remembered. That was all.
No, I've got photos. So he used Status Matrix, both Alembics, and 5-string Status for If You Were Mine. So basically, that from that point, that's what led to the whole choice of those basses through that tour until 1992. So it was the Matrix had only been out for like 4 months. He'd already had both the Alembics and, like I say, the Empathy 5. But the thing for me,
he used the Matrix only, apart from the 5-string during the.
No, he was chopping and changing basses throughout the gig.
I did wonder, because my ears start to deceive me, especially from that old Capital Radio recording.
That is just the Matrix.
Yeah,
I think by that point he knew what was sounding best in Hammersmith, so he just stuck with it. But then, like, I saw him on the 22nd, which was the last night, and he was moving between instruments again. So it was like, you know, he's a man of no habit. He will just on the fly go, I'm changing bass. and or if a string goes, or suddenly they've died off, and he'll just do it. He's not beholden to anyway. He'll use what he wants when he wants, and that was it. But that show, I was there with, so there was me, 3 other mates from my A-level college, and Holdsworth walked out, and we were like, they've got Holdsworth, because we didn't know who was going to replace Alan Murphy. And we're there and like, oh, Christ almighty, and what a gig. We were all like, oh God, this is great. In a university, I was about 6 people from the front, and it was just like, love it.
I think Lyndon Connor said after that, I think Holdsworth liked like a bitter, or Holdsworth liked a bit of a drink anyway, didn't he? From what I've heard.
Oh,
Not to excess, but he liked it. But he always used to have sort of some sort of very traditional old English ale or something along those lines after a gig.
On the rider. Yeah. Quite right. Quite good to see you, Gaz. You all right? How was your gig on Sunday?
Yeah, it was all right. Just a general pub gig. Nothing spectacular, but went down well.
Cool. Good.
Excellent.
You used this.
Very nice.
Ah, there we are.
Gretsch keyboard, yeah.
Gretsch.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Short scale with flats on it.
That's what we like. I'm just going through the messages here. There's a lot going on here. Right, hold on. Okay, I think we've solved the stereo thing, apparently. Good. Vutran, good to see you. Wolf hands, no way. You were at the Bass Brothers when Rich was buying the Status 5. Small world.
All right.
Visog,
Hi.
my mocking memory, the Tube. Jules saying he wants more jazz on the show. Cut to Mingus doing a bass solo, fading the Mark King going hammer and tongs. Exactly. Stacey's there from North Carolina. Good to see you. David Gill. Hi all. Today was one of those days when my playing made me consider tossing my gear. Don't do that, David. We all have those. Don't worry. Tomorrow will be better. Put it down. If it's annoying you, put it down. Come back to it. Dawson, good to see you. Hey, bass players. We got a full house today. No, we can take another 4 people. Oh, I can see there are requests. Just bear me a moment, gents. Eric Wombat. Just want to say, send a live chat for David. I will come back to that shortly. That's a big old email. I'll read that later on. Thank you, though. Dawson is requesting an invite. Okay, we can accommodate that.
So, with me not really deep diving into level 42, what albums would you recommend to listen to?
Oh, right. Right, guys, get ready. Right, I'll go first. It's my channel. I'll go first. First album, level 42.
Yeah.
Second album, Early Tapes, which was recorded before the first album but released after the first album. Physical Presence, which is the double live album from 85. World Machine. And then from that, there we go. Well done, Jay. This is what I'm paying you for. And then from there, you will get an idea how the genre changes within the band. And then you'll decide whether you want to get the remaining albums from the first album up to World Machine, or if you like the hits as well. Yeah. So you kind of got to find what you like. So the first album, Early Tapes, Pursuit of Accidents, Standing in the Light, True Colors, very different to what comes after World Machine. But inside all that, you've got the whole education of all the different basses that he was using and all the different tones. So you hear a Jaydee distorted on various tunes on Standing in the Light. You've got the Pangborn basses. You've got the early Status basses, which on True Colors is basically every track. There's a couple of tracks on there.
Isn't it?
But again, once you then come through the other side of World Machine, you've got the hits album in Running in the Family, which is Status and Jaydee. You then go to Staring at the Sun, which is all Alembic. Then you have The Break. There's Live at Wembley, which didn't come out until 1996, which is all Alembic. Then you go into Guaranteed, and it's Change Again. So then it's Music Man, Moon Jazz Bass, which is a fretless. You've got the Wal MIDI bass, sorry. Various Status basses. There's loads on there. Then you get it Forever Now, and it's basically Music Man and an acoustic bass all the way. There's Dawson. We'll add you to the stage, mate. There we are. Groovy. 5 of us.
Dawson.
So that would be my suggestions for for which album. So first album, early tapes, Physical Presence, World Machine, and then from there you can decide whether you want to go more hits based later or go to the more sort of jazz fusiony funk stuff first. But also on top of that, they came out with the box sets a couple of years ago. If you're going to go down that route, and you may find if you go on Spotify and do the first couple of albums, if that's what you like, get the box set number 1, you get all the amazing instrumental B-sides. So when we get to World Machine, a lot of the instrumental B-sides make way for extended 12-inch mixes and hits. But if you want like the stuff Mark's known for, that first box set, which is the white one, I'll get them out the drawer. Makes sense when I'm talking about.
Actually,
yes,
during this pause,
yes.
I actually have a question. On the inside cover of Running in the Family,
yes,
the bands there are all standing up, apart from Mark, who's crouching down with a red S2000.
Yes.
That is the one that the Stati people used to call the FPPR, isn't it?
That's it.
Which Matthew Ashenden has now.
Yes, which stands for don't give me any grief, YouTube. Fucking Postman Pat Red.
That's the one.
That's the one. Thank you. Yes, that was it. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
and we can delve into the history of Custard Colin as well later. So
Custard
Gaz,
Colin.
yes. So that's the first. That takes you up to 1980 to 84, which gives you all the instrumentals, all the B-sides, all the wonderful bass goodness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we go into the black box, which is that's World Machine through to Standing in the Light.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third box is basically Guaranteed onwards.
Yeah.
And there's some good stuff in there. There's some good stuff in
brilliant.
there. There's a few singles and B-sides that didn't come out as well, actually should have been on the album rather than what was on the album. There you go. There you go. There is also, you can't buy this now, but you can possibly get a copy. Now, just bear with me a moment because I helped, I did the proofreading on this. Just bear with me a minute, lads.
Hey, we're 42 minutes into the video. Level 42.
Perfect. I actually think probably sort of my actual top moment is probably the...
You can't buy... Sorry, I can't hear because I haven't got my headphones on.
Oh, that's okay.
So you can't buy this, but you can occasionally see a copy if it comes up. So I did the proofreading for that. So that's where that design... So this is written by a guy called Paul Waller. Came out in 2017, 2018. All authorized by Mark. I was there the night he gave him a copy of the book to check and go through. So Mark's done all that. He approved it.
Yeah.
And it's basically the entire discography up to 2017. So obviously the box sets aren't included, but I mean, you know, it's all this. It's a collector's Bible. Could have done with this like 40 years ago, about 20 years ago. But anyway, if you see one online, get it. It's fab. Very like down to serial numbers.
Yeah.
Just crazy. All listed out. All very nice. Very good. So yeah, that's there.
If you dig in the early stuff, don't forget influences.
Oh, yes.
I'd say that should be your first port of call, frankly. The first track on there is called The Essential, which you look at it and think, that's 20 minutes. It is. It's one whole side of the vinyl. But it's like 6 songs all in one. And they did it live at Ronnie Scott's in 2012. He'd never done it before. And there's a CD of it. You can buy it on the Level 42 site. And it's amazing. It's amazing. So there's your homework, Gareth. In fact, you don't need to spend anything, do you? You can listen to it all on Spotify. But
yeah,
well worth checking out. Rich, your suggestions?
My sort of personal favourites, I like Running in the Family, Early Tapes, Staring at the Sun, Guaranteed, Retroglide.
Yeah, overcompressed.
Very compressed, massively.
Very.
It is, yeah, very slightly. Yeah, so
is the other version better? The less compressed.
I've
CD?
not heard it. I was I was kind of a bit disappointed. It was a Mark solo album. I don't know why they put the Level 42 name on it.
You do, and it sell more records.
I couldn't be bothered to shell out again after I'd bought it once. So it was like, I'll leave that.
Yeah.
Although an honourable mention for Sleepwalking, which I think is a great track.
Yeah.
Dive Into the Sun, good track as well.
Yeah.
Yes, brilliant. Yeah.
Good fun.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, definitely.
Your thoughts, Jay? Anything that I've missed out there?
I think probably for me, the actual sort of top moment for me was the performance of Mr. Pink on the Live at Reading in 2001. Early King bass artist
2001
yeah Trace.
Yep.
Absolutely sounded absolutely brilliant, you know.
Yeah. Which was a shame because the crap audience. Yeah. Might as well have played to a morgue.
Yeah, that's right.
They just
sat there. So.
Funnily enough, I did a gig there myself. I did a corporate event there, and it sounded bloody horrible. It's a horrible place. Reading Town Hall, crap, utter crap.
Well, Howie from the Level 42 tribute band, he said he was at that gig, and he said security and everything else just made everything everyone just sat down.
That was kind of all of that stuff fed into the Level 42 web digest, and Mark used to check in on that. No one would know he was looking. And so he was getting a feel for what was working on the tours and what wasn't. And I can't remember. I think after those 2001, 2002 shows, he was like, we've got to sort out what goes on at the venues because people can't get up and dance. He said it makes for a crap gig. And then you had the argument between Mark saying to people, get up and dance, and the security and the ushers going, you can't dance here. You can't. And it's like, well, don't book that venue then, or make sure that the floor is stalls with no seating, which is the way Level 42 used to do gigs. But I think it became a thing that I think he was very wary that the audience were getting older. So, you know, people who were in their 20s in the 80s were now in their 40s and 50s. And you don't want some old dear collapsing in the middle of the show because she's bopping away and suddenly, But there we are.
If my old man would still be around, he got me into Level 42. Okay. And he'd still be going to concerts with me, and he'd be 75 this year. He'd still be going, because he got into them when he was he like you. He heard the Chinese Way, and his ears pricked up to the bass line. So that was released early '83.
Early '83. I heard it on I think it was Richard Skinner played it on Radio 1 off of the album, and then like I said, about 3 months later, then it had become a single. But he was just saying, "Oh, this is a great track off the new Level 42 album." And I was like, kept hearing that thing. So you had Level 42, Mezza 40, which it wasn't 40-0, but it was 40, and all those bands in the 80s. Loads of them had numbers in their title, and you start to get confused as to which band was which. But it was Richard Skinner that played it. It was like on a tea time show or something, and I remember thinking, because my mum always had the radio on, and I remember hearing that and going, cool. I wasn't a bass player. I had no inclination to be a bass player at that point.
Yeah.
I remember just thinking, I like that. That's good. And I think when I then became a fan around World Machine time and I heard Love Games, I was aware of it. I'd heard that before. But like I say, after Chinese Way, every time a new album, new single came out, I was, Living It Up came out. I was like, I'm keeping an eye on them. I really like what that band. There's going to come at some point where an album or a track is going to make me go, that's one of my bands now, you know. Dawson, this is probably a complete baptism of fire to you.
You're quite right on that one, Brooksy, but I think I've seen one of your videos. It might have been Mark King and Billy Sheehan, possibly. They're doing there was two bass players playing at the same time. Do you think it was that one?
Larry Graham.
Mark King and Larry Graham, it would be.
Larry Graham, okay.
Yeah, that was at the Jazz Cafe. Well, those videos I filmed. So the first batch that are sort of widescreen, long form, they were from 2013. The ones that are in vertical are from 2015, which in 2 weeks' time will be exactly 10 years since Larry was last here doing gigs, as far as I'm aware. And that was that. And I had Mark literally stood by my shoulder. We'd had a natter before the gig. And I can't remember what we talked about. We normally talk a load of old gibberish and nonsense, and we just have a laugh. And I said, well, you're going to get moving then? He said, don't rush me. I've got to build up to this. And it was all tongue in cheek. And then they couldn't get him off the stage. I think he was there quite a while that night. He was on for a good 20 minutes or so, and then he came back on for like the encore and stuff. It was great. But clearly he and Larry built up quite a rapport, because after the 2013 shows, Larry, I think Level 42 were playing at the North Sea Jazz Festival, and Larry was playing with Prince.
Yep.
And he said, I want you to come up with us. And Mark was like, are you sure? Because, Prince can be, he'll just ignore you if you want. And and Mark shook his hand and all that, but Prince wouldn't really talk to him. It was, but that's just the way the guy was. Very shy around people he didn't know. But put it this way, if Prince didn't want him there, he wouldn't have been there. But the fact that Larry had invited him made it all right. So Mark didn't feel out of water in that context because Larry had invited him. So it wasn't, clearly Larry had vetted Mark to be up on that stage. So in Prince's eyes, that's all right, because Larry was like the grand master of bass playing as far as Prince was concerned.
I was supposed to be at that one of those first Jazz Cafe gigs. I got invited to go down with Mel Gaynor and G Bello from Light of the World.
Yeah.
And I couldn't bloody make it. It's too far.
Yeah, the first one was the Sunday, and they had the it was 3 dates. Was it Sunday, Monday, Wednesday? I think it was. Was it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday? I can't remember. Anyway, I did the first one and the third one. And on the third one, in fact, the first one, I was home here and about to leave to go up, and I got a phone call from the artist liaison, his agent, to say, because I was going on behalf of Bass Guitar Magazine, make sure you bring your camera because Mark King's playing with him tonight. And we didn't know that. And I thought it was only going to be a one-off. So it was like, thank God I'm going tonight. As it was, he was there every night. But on the third night, you had Mark, you had Paul Turner, Rob Harris from Jamiroquai. I think someone else got up as well. Can't remember off the top of my head. By the end, you had Larry playing bass, Mark playing bass, and Paul Turner playing bass. And for some reason, Mark's channel on his TC, you could have 2 basses running in at the same time. And Mark's half of that amp gave up. So he ended up having to play tambourine, and Paul Turner carried on playing bass, which is what's on that video. So when I interviewed Mark in 2015, and I'm sat in his thing, I said, so what's it like playing second fiddle to Paul Turner? And he was like, you were there, weren't you? I was like, yeah. He said, well, it wasn't planned that way. He said it was meant to be all 3 of us playing, but something happened on the amp, and Paul's side carried on working and Mark's side didn't, but there we are. But then when he did the shows in 2015, it was just him. And I think Larry did 2 nights. And I was I went to the 1st of July one. So there we are. It might be the last gigs he ever does here. I mean, he's getting on now. So
I've got a couple of TC cabs. I've never played through a TC amp though.
Right. Absolutely brilliant.
The cabs are very good. The amplifier, it is what it is, but their amps are very crystal clear.
Yeah.
And the problem you got now is, as far as I'm aware, TC support is dealt with by Behringer. And at the time that they took over, Behringer gear didn't have a particularly good reputation for reliability.
Yeah, I've got 2 2x8 cabs that I use with a tray cell.
Yeah. Nice. Well, you see, that's a good mix because you've got that amp is very guttural. A fair description. Guttural. It's not super clean, but those cabinets will give it that sort of clarity of projection. So you got a good mix. It's not hyper clean or hyper dirty. You got sort of a mix and match there, so that's good. But they are good cabs, those 2.8s. You know, those speaker dimensions will give you loads of clarity anyway. So how do you find the amp?
Small? Yeah, fine. I use them for smaller pub gigs where there's not much space. I'll just take one of the cabs or both of them and stack them vertically.
Ah, good. Yeah. Well, yeah, from that you can hear everything. Pretty good. Pretty good. So yeah, Dawson, if you're investigating the works of Mark King and Level 42, then the same the same suggestions apply. First album, early tapes, physical presence. See, if you don't like physical presence, there's no point getting the earliest stuff. But if you like physical presence, then you're going to like the earlier stuff. And then if you like the hits-based stuff, you've got that comes after. So, and it's weird, isn't it? You listen to the live album, listen to World Machine, and you can clearly hear that progression.
Yeah.
From what they had done to now going in that more song-based format, which led to the whole combustion of the band.
There's a few songs I know, like, you know, when I go to weddings or when I go to dances, and they'll play some of their songs, but they'll play them in between, maybe like Casey and the Sunshine Band, or they'll play Kool and the Gang, and they'll play a couple other funk bands and Queen, and then they'll throw some Level 42 in. So when I hear it, I'll be like, oh, okay, I remember that one. But there's a lot of bands I know, but this is one that will be something to definitely look into.
Cool. You should.
No,
even if it doesn't float your boat entirely, there are things that Mark does, just little licks, little things that can help you with your bass player. Like Turn It On is a perfect example of a simple progression. You can work that out by ear. There's a little slap break in the middle that isn't too difficult. Very easy to play along, work it out. And you might catch the bug just from that. And there are things on that first album and early tapes, and you'll listen to it and go, how the hell am I meant to play that? You just work it out. You work it out over time and getting your ear training in. You learn a lot of his patterns repeat.
Yeah.
You'll find licks and certain passages in certain songs he'll have done on an album, 2 albums before. You can say something, Jay.
Oh, not stressed. Also, I'm going to say his finger style as well. His finger style is also, you can't ignore that stuff from like Last Chance and that sort of thing. Absolutely, you can't just say, "Oh, he's a one-trick pony." Oh, he's that bloke who slaps fast. No. Just if you do a deep dive, go for it.
Yeah, a good line to learn is I have the sheet music for the Chinese Way.
Very
good one. Yeah.
Well, one of my favorites that I always, when he's putting the set list together for the tour, I'll send him a message. I'll say, you can do Return of the Handsome Ragged Man this year. Every time, no chance. I think it's 2 bass lines slapped on top of each other in the mixing process. And it's tricky. And I know Nathan will wind him up about it, because I always say to him, you want to do that, don't you? He's like, yeah. But he won't do it. But it's a great track. They've never played it live, as far as I'm aware.
No, they haven't.
And every time I bump into him, I'll say, you played that? And he will go, no, we've never played that. It's one of the few tracks that I guess they would have played Level 42, the B-side, back in the early days.
Yeah, they did 42 live.
Yeah. But I think if you delve into that earlier stuff, there are things that you can learn. Like 42 is a perfect example as well. That, Turn It On, Love Games, Heathrow, none of those things are particularly, massively difficult. They're just good groove tracks. You listen to Almost There and you'll go, oh. But again, if you get the basics under your fingers from the other tracks and you play slowly, building blocks, small bits at a time, you can build it up, get the speed, and then things like Almost There aren't a problem.
Well, people have got the technology now to slow it down.
Yeah.
Whereas we
have that.
we had a tape or a record.
Donk.
Yeah.
Scratch.
You put it on, you play loud, and it skips.
Or you'd slow the speed down, or if you were lucky enough to have a record player with a 78, you'd go to the higher speed so you can hear the bass line clearer, and then go back to slowing it down, and you piece it together like that. This is why when we came out of I think late 80s, CDs were prevalent, but a lot of kids had grown up listening and learning that stuff on vinyl and tape, and were playing completely the wrong notes, completely the wrong lines. I remember when I first went into a Level 42 tribute band, we only did one gig, and the drummer knew the lines better than I did. And I said, I can't hear that. I can't hear that is what he went, that's it. He said, that's what they're playing there. So I don't hear it that way. I hear it different because there were chords and other progressions over the top of the bass line. And certainly on some tracks that had a synth line and then a bass line on top, sometimes the finesse of the actual bass part would get lost under that synth part, and they'd be changing notes. And I'd go, is that it? Is that really it? And the drum, yeah, that's it. There we go. We all hear
I always
things.
play Machine Stops wrong, even though it sounds right to me.
Yeah. No, that's a great track.
I love that track.
That's a great track.
As long as it's in the right ballpark, as long as it's in the right ballpark, the public won't notice anyway.
Oh, they will at a Level 42 tribute gig. They will. It's like doing a Red Hot Chili Peppers tribute. The bass gets like focus. Everyone's looking at you. Go on, Rich.
I was going to ask, did any of you see the video of Yolanda Charles playing Heathrow at the 66 Club?
Yeah. She's worked with Mike for quite a few years. So when he does solo things or he needs a bass player for a show or something, he invariably calls her up. Funnily enough, he's going out on tour, and the drummer he's got on it I've worked with.
All right.
And I did one gig with him and his band, depping for his brother, and nice guy, good drummer. Now I've got to be careful what I say here. I could get taken to court. He liked to drink. I'll leave it there.
That type of drummer, okay.
Yeah. Hopefully he's potentially seen the error of his ways and won't do that on the mic shows. But yeah, I only did one gig.
Playing there as well.
She is. Yeah.
I'm seeing the Milton Keynes Stables gig.
I'll be interested to see if he sells that out. I'm wondering if that might be a bit. It's not big, but it's about 2,000 people, I think. Actually,
there is a small one of the Stables, isn't there?
There might be. Let me have a look.
Because I went to late 90s. I went to a Sam Brown gig there, and she, back by that stage of her career, couldn't fill 2,000 seats.
Okay, there's the Jim Marshall Auditorium, which might be in there. That's the main space. Capacity of 398. Nah,
could have been the one.
Nah, it's not that.
Be an intimate gig if it is.
400. Oh well, he'll sell that out. Sorry, I thought it was a couple of thousand. I saw Tony Hadley and Peter Cox there back in about 2004, and I thought it was bigger than that, but maybe not. What do I know?
Big voices.
No, it says 398. There's a second stage which can seat 80. Maybe they're going for that. I don't know.
Well, it's only a three-piece, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So maybe it'll be that. Maybe it'll be the small one. If it sells very well, very quickly, they'll boost it up to the bigger room. 400, 398. So, yeah. Yeah. There we are. Right, there's a ton of messages here. I need to just quickly go through these. We did the Mingus thing. We did David. Wolfhands. So saw Level 42 a few times. Rewind Festival 2010 in Henley was awesome. 30th anniversary Status King bass sounded killer. That's when he'd gone to the single coils. He broke a string first minute of the first song. You used 3090s. You were going to bring that on yourself. The Alembic Series 2 had the best tone. That and the Matrix for me. That and the Matrix. I obviously have a soft spot for the Jaydees, but
excuse me.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
The Alembic will always win for me because I stood there and heard that in Wembley, and I was like, I'm converted. I had no real knowledge of what an Alembic sounded like. I'm there in Wembley Arena, and that thing just sounded huge. And when he did his solo, I was like, Christ almighty. Yeah, I'd love a Series 2. Unfortunately, the price now, you're looking at 14, 15 grand here in the UK for a second-hand one. They're never going to be lower than that.
Would Series 1 not do the same thing?
Doesn't sound the same.
Yeah,
doesn't sound the same. That's why Series 2, go on the pricing page on Alembic, you see the price difference. You get Series 1 for about 30 to 35 grand. Series 2, 45 grand starting money.
I've seen some Alembic Series 1s, like, because I've seen I always thought I'd get a birthday bass like a lot of us do. And they have,
I was thinking today, you were talking about getting the 20th anniversary a couple of months back. If you saw one come up, and one came up at Bass Brothers last week. Funnily enough, Mark Palmer, Funky Hobbit, who's on this live chat now, bought it. 32-inch maple, 6.5 grand.
See, I sell other
basses. This is a birthday bass.
That's a West Tone.
West Tone, 84, the year I was born.
84. Ooh,
that's not an Alembic Series 2 though. Go on, Jay. You were gonna say something there.
No, I was just going to say I've seen the Series 1s for about 6.5 grand. But if they don't have the sounds that we crave, then there's no point. Plus, they're so fiddly to get the sound out of, aren't they?
Well, that's always been a thing with Alembics. Yeah. So the blonde Series 1 that's now owned by John Randall is the one that's on the Rapido clip.
Seen that
when he's playing
in person.
Mike. Yeah. So that's a Series 1. So if you put a set of light gauge strings on that, you're in that ballpark. But a Series 1 and a Series 2, basically it's the continuous Q setting. Because both of those basses, I mean, I've known this for years, but I didn't beforehand. When you look at series bass, you think, oh, humbuckers. They're not. They're single coils in a humbucker housing. That's why a series Alembic has that thinner, snappier tone that the signature models and the 20th anniversary don't, because they're humbuckers. Was the series bass. People always look at the housing, and it's like with the Jaydee. Everyone looks at it and think, oh, it's humbuckers. It's not. They're split coils. Take the pickup out of the housing. It's split coil.
There you go.
Yeah. If you
take that, by the way.
That's it. Yeah. If you take that, well, when I bought this, that gave Nick the money to buy that Jaydee and the black and white Ricky.
Yeah. Still needs a service, must admit. I can't believe he bought it needing electrical work.
Probably because he thought either he'd do it himself or he'd send it back to John and get it up, or Jaydee and get it done. So
I imagine it was going to be turned green, knowing him.
Oh, highly likely. Highly likely. But yeah, that's the thing with the Alembics. People look at them and don't realize that the Series 1's a single coil. That's why they have that sound. You buy a Mark King signature, whether it's a deluxe or a standard, their humbuckers sounds totally different. It's not the same sound at all. Yeah. And that's why you pay a premium for the Series 1 and Series 2. It's all you don't have to have it in that big fat body, big head. You can basically, any Alembic is determined by the electronics package that goes in. So you can have a Series 2 in a really nice 32-inch scale Persuader body if you want it. It's still classed as a Series 2. It's the electronics package that determine what that bass is. And the daft thing is, I could have bought a Mark King bells and whistles Series 2 Coca-Cola red LEDs medium scale blah 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 for 2,800 quid in March 93 from Rock Bottom. Didn't know the price. It was the guy who bought it, had it all made to his spec, arrived, couldn't play it, traded it in for a Kabiki Factor and a cash amount as well. Because back then you used to be able to go to the bass center and had Alembics all hanging on the wall, all second-hand ones. and they weren't the distributor at the time. But I mean, there were Series 1s in there for 1,400 quid. You won't get that anymore.
No.
So basically, it looks like that when it comes to those bigger bodied Alembics, you're looking at 20th anniversary signature models are between sort of 6 and 7.5 at the push. Series 1s, you're looking probably 9 to 12 grand, maybe more. Series 2, I don't think you're going to get a Series 2 in the UK for anything less than about 14 or 15 grand anymore. What happened was, as when we went into lockdown, people got their furlough money and their money because they weren't working, potentially going to die. They wanted the things they've never owned, and Alembic prices just went up and up and up. I can remember about 2 months after we went in lockdown, people messaging on various bass forums and Facebook and stuff. Where can I buy a secondhand Alembic? Where can I get this? And there was none. There was really nothing for sale. If you looked on eBay, Reverb, Facebook, various bass forums, no one was selling.
Yeah.
They don't come up very often. So when you see one, if you can get to where it is and try it, I wouldn't buy an Alembic blind. Put it that way. You got to go and try it before you buy it, but you'll know whether it's going to work for you or not. They're very, each one is very unique and they're idiosyncratic. There's a lot of people can't get on with them, but I like the tone. So it's like, for me, I'll put up with the shortcomings, you know.
The closest I've ever played was one of those Fernandez Fab 180s, the bigger body version. It was bloody close in sound, but at the time I had my GA24, and I'd only just got it, and I'd had the option to buy that as well, and I just didn't have the money, even though at the time it was 600 quid, and I'm like pulling my hair out now, obviously. But the GA, a mate of mine at the time bought that Fernandez. I sort of sorted it out for him, and it was so, the Jaydee was so easy to get your tone compared to that. All the different filters that you've got on the Alembic type bass, it was just so much easier you can dial it in when you're without even looking on a normal 3-band EQ, etc. Whereas that Alembic just seemed like a lot of hassle.
They can be, and I've heard many a musician, John Edwards, Rhino from Quo, used to use one all the time in the studio before he moved over to Status, and his big beef was always amazing sounds. They just sound amazing, lovely to play, but you can record a track one day, go back in the studio the next day, you can't replicate the sound.
Yeah,
you just can't find it. But it's getting to know the instrument. And one thing, Micah, who's been on here before, Ron Wickersham's daughter, who runs Alembic, she's come on here and she said to me when I was like, how do I use these controls? It's just driving me insane. She said, right, think of, you're all right there, Rich.
Yeah.
You sort of dismantling the room, are you?
That's all. Huh?
Dismantling the room. Doing a bit of
Yeah.
DIY.
Looks like we've lost Austin.
I'll be with you in a minute. She said, think of the pickups as your EQ, because it's a filter system. People who are used to a 2 or 3 band EQ come over to a filter system and get totally lost. You should think of the neck pickup as your bass EQ and the bridge pickup as your treble. And from there, because on most basses that use their control layout, the 2 pickups have an independent volume. On some later models, people have asked for an overall volume as well as the 2 independents. So on some basses, you can have an overall volume, a per pickup volume, and then a pickup selector. Talk about overkill. But what you can do then is set the parameter for the low pass filter, and the Q switch per pickup, and then decide how much volume you want out of that pickup. So if you want lots of bass, you're going to turn that pickup to full and set the Q so not a lot of high end is coming out of it. You may then, on the bridge pickup, resort all of your twang and treble to that side. If you try and run treble through the neck pickup, it becomes very clanky, very precision-like. Take that top end away from that neck pickup and let the treble and open up the filter on the back pickup. You suddenly get this lovely twanginess, which obviously we know Alembics have, but you've counterbalanced that with a really smooth bass end from that neck pickup. You try and do bass end from the back pickup, it sounds like a load of middly nonsense. Really, necessarily, you're not going to use that really anywhere. But she said this is what the confusion is, that people come to a filter-based system and don't equate their pickups as being the EQ, whereas that's actually what they are. So if you want loads of bottom end and not so much mid and treble, then turn that back pickup down, but leave the settings as they are. And then if your next song you need those highs back, all you got to do is turn the volume up. People get very confused once they start messing around with low pass filters. I can't hear. Well, it's there. You've just got to work it out, But it's a little bit of, you got to sit with them and suss it out. And once you have, and once you get that idea that it's the pickup that's the important component there to the sound you want, then it becomes a bit easier. I can see a load of messages here. Right, Visog suggesting side one of The Essential, good choice. Funky Hobbit, Mark Palmer, good to see you, sir. Yes, you did hear Custard Colin remarked upon. Who's that messaging? Dawson. I've sent. I don't know why you've sent me that, Dawson, but that's fair enough. Sorry. Some guy, good to see you. Hoyt, good to see you, sir. Welcome back. Dave Barker, Heathrow was a track I liked. Very good. Philip Evans, good to see you. I don't remember you coming on here, but it's good to see you anyway. Stacey, Heathrow's a jam. In the States, I didn't become aware of level 42 until Something About You in 85. Mark Palmer saying fantastic stories. Thank you. Hoyt, you have a Helicon. I know that's an effects box. If it's an ailment, you need to see the doctor. He'll give you a cream for that. Okay. Lee Bolton, good to see you. Let's hear your level 42 and Mark King stories, please. 10KO. Hi, chat. Good to see you. Fish orange wide eyes. That means absolutely nothing. We're talking bass guitars. Get it on topic, sir. You're 9. Okay. Why are you in here then? We're talking bass guitars. Okay. Funky Hobbit. I have a listen to It's Over live. Yes, Mark outlines the chord tones. Exactly. Doubles the vocals and plays the key parts. Well, he doesn't like taking it easy, does he? 10 KOs being daft. Funky Hobbit 2025 theme to Margaret would be great to hear. I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know what they're going to pull out of the bag. I think if they're going to play the Whole of World Machine, it's quite a lot of song-based songs there. So it'll be interesting to see which instrumental and early tracks he brings into it. We'll see. You're subbing. Thank you very much. Anybody sing here? I do BVs. Most of us play bass. We'll do a bit of singing. Funky Hobbit, privileged to be seeing Mike's trio here in Newcastle in December this year. There you go. Newcastle gig is 120 max. Well, then maybe they'll be using that small room at the stables. I guess it depends how many tickets he sells, really. Keep past rank for Banana Bentley. We've got new feature. Hold on. We've got a contender. Ready? Go. There we go. We've got one in today, guys. Right. You're going for it, aren't you? Hands yellow, heart red, silk. Is this what 3 words? Are we trying to work out where you are? In the nut house, I tell you. Everyone's seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Right. Funky Hobbit, although I just bought the 20th anniversary. I saw your post earlier and I liked it. How's that as a 32-inch scale? Now, they only made 200 of those 20th anniversary, and I did not know until last week that there was a 32-inch scale model. There can't be many of those. Mark, if you get in touch with Micah at Alembic, she'll tell you how many there are. Find out, pass the information back if you get that. J-Bass will bring it down for you to try any time. There you go. You say, now, Mark, while you're here, are you coming to Nick's do in September? Rich is going to be there. I'm going to be there. Jay's going to be there. Gareth can come if he wishes, all the way from Manchester. Sunday, the 7th of September. Charters in Peterborough. Are you coming down? Mark had a Series 2 Alembic. Yes, you did. They are unique. Nothing sounds like them. You didn't get on with yours, did you? And I think was that a custom build for you? I can't remember. It's like lost in the mists of time. We're talking 2000, 2001, 2002. Ben Payne, good to see you. I'm the fella. Well, oh, Mike Lindup's the fella, or me. I don't know. Wolf Hands didn't know the series pickups were single coils. Neither did a lot of us until we found it out. I guess it makes perfect sense that the middle smaller pickup is a canceller. Correct. So someone posted up on an Alembic group. It was the Bass Brothers thing. They had the signature standard in. And the guy, some producer guy, I checked him out on Facebook, was complaining, oh, if there's no dummy coil, it's not an Alembic. To which I piped up, it is an Alembic. It's a Mark King signature series. They're humbuckers, not single coils, so there's no need for a dummy coil. The dummy coil reduces hum when you have two single coils. And he's a producer. He should know this stuff. 2003, you sold the Cocobolo Alembic for $2,500. Mr. Marcus Bell of Bass Direct now owns it. Ah, it's that one. Now, you had issues with that, or was that Mark Littler? One of you did a custom build and you did not get on with it, and you took it out on gigs and the neck would do all sorts of things and you couldn't get a good bass tone. Was that yours or was that Mark's? Alembics were never plug and play. No, most definitely not. Dawson, sorry, gents, closed it by accident. Nice to meet you all. Off to watch some bands at a car show. Enjoy, Dawson. All the best. See you next Tuesday. Mark, Mr. King ran filters wide open. He ran everything full whack. CVQ on full, both pickups on, neck rolled slightly back. Yeah. Dawson, put my email in the back chat if any of the bass players want to keep in touch. Cheers, Dawson. Oh, no, they can't see that. Only I get to see that. Stacey's saying, to Dawson, perfection. Mark, thanks. Yes, coming to Nick's Do. Excellent. We'll finally get to meet. After 25 years. Yeah, sorry, I've got a bit of fluff on my nose. Can't get rid of it. Good. I look forward to seeing you, Mark. I've got Nick Spector here, and that'll be coming up. I might bring the Alembic and probably a Status as well. So we'll be all tooled up. Know what I mean? So there we go. It's 22 minutes past 9 here on Brooks's Bass Corner. It's live chat 118 coming to you from London town here in the UK. We're talking bass guitars, bass amps, bass effects, great bass players, great albums. And tonight's topic of conversation, just going to cover you, Gareth. Just hold on a moment. We're talking Mark King, level 42. What are your favourite moments? Favourite tracks, favourite songs, gigs, sound checks, demos, solos? I'll heartily enter into this. One of my favorites, and I posted up about it on Facebook many occasions. I just love the Fait Accompi bass solo in Holland. I think that was the day he got the medium scale Alembics. He'd had the long scale. So the clips on that documentary that are earlier in the tour, you've got the long scale and the series 1 that John Randall uses. He just couldn't get on with the long scale thing, so he got Alembic to make 2 medium scales. And I think that one that's in Holland when he's doing the sound check is the first time he got that. I think I could be wrong.
Stunning, man. But the fingerstyle section is just amazing.
I would love and I think I said to him when we sat in his flat, I remember asking him, is there a vault of more material to come out on video? And he went, no. He said, what there is what there is. Things that pop up on YouTube, that's what there is. The record company never wanted to plow money into video recording because it was so expensive. And until they hit pay dirt with World Machine, so you'd missed all the early years, the record company didn't film any of it. Yeah. So the thing came afterwards once they were making the record company loads of money. What they need to do is get Fait Accompi, the full version, up and out, not the edited version that's in that box set, but also that whole Birmingham NEC gig needs to be edited and put out. It's there. They've got it. It's all there. Just needs to do it.
Have you seen that bit where I think it's called like Licks and Practice, whatever it is, where Mark's in his studio at home, he's doing the Pia documentary.
Yes. Oh, yes. I've watched that many times.
Yeah, there's that little clip about 4 odd minutes where Mark's just
which is the outro part. Yeah, exactly. Gold dust.
Well, actually, that gig I was supposed to see with Larry Graham and Mark, the guy that directed that, I actually gave him the ticket for it because he's a massive level 42 fan.
Michael. Nope. Is it Mike? No.
Nope.
Okay. The guy that was involved in the book. Is it Michael?
No, that's
Beast?
different bloke. That was a Michael something, wasn't it? Can't remember his name, but no, the guy that directed that is huge Level 42 fan. He's like he's gone on to direct massive things since. Obviously, he wanted to get that one in because it was his favourite band.
Yeah. Well, here's a story I recounted a couple of weeks ago. So we're there in his flat in London, and the Swarovski status is there. Just it's out. And I said, "Can I have a go?" He went, "Of course you can." He said, "Off you go." So I'm playing it, and I'm like, and you could see the confusion on my face. And he said, "You thought the action would be lower, didn't you?" I said, "Yeah, I did actually." He said, "It's higher than you thought." I went, "Yeah." He said, "Because I'm really full on when I'm playing." He said, "If I had them any lower, they would just buzz." And you hear recordings with a king bass, and there is a lot of buzz there anyway. He said, "That's why those strings have to be, it's kind of a medium height. It's not low, it's not high, it's not high up. It's about a middle." He said, "But when I'm digging in, if they're any lower, it's just complete and utter string buzz, and I can't have that." So that's that story. But a very nice bass.
Well, Mark's Jaydee is supposed to be the original. The neck's supposed to be sort of like that, isn't it? Sort of almost goes up in the middle slightly. And that was his own choice.
Yeah.
It's got the ump.
This is what we were talking about with Jamie last week, because I was editing up the shorts the other day, and I came to this bit where he was talking about on certain Fenders where they're fine at either end, and then there's this hump in the middle, and you can't get it out. No heat treatment will remove it. It's just a twist within the timber.
Yeah.
I remember Mark always saying, he used to take his basses back to Jaydee. They couldn't get the action low enough for him. But I think, and you might have experienced this too, Rich, is that as I'm getting older, my action's coming up, and I'm not favouring the treble on a few of my basses quite as much as I used to. It always used to be maximum clatter, maximum noise, tone out, let everyone hear every note. But as I'm getting older, it's like I'm not. It's like I'm just pulling back a bit on that. Sometimes I just want to sit in that band mix and not be totally at the front of it.
Yeah.
And just
Very
sit
true.
underneath everything. But it's an age thing. And sometimes I don't know if I'm learning this or if it's just the way my ears are reacting to the sound that the band are making. But you kind of, when I used to have Mark's Stingray, I used to have that treble completely cranked up and wondering why things sounded really boisterous. And then you think, oh, actually, just turn that down a bit and it's not sound like two dustbin lids clanking together, which is what's happening when the strings are hitting the frets constantly.
I think a lot of band mixes. I mean, I've learned it through just doing my YouTube videos that no one watches anyway. But I've learned through my own ears. It's sort of like you've got to play what suits the music. Full treble.
Totally.
Don't work.
Very true. Yes.
Totally.
You've got one of the reasons I bought that.
Yeah. I've
always loved Marcus's tone, but a jazz bass just sounds right for some songs.
Yes. It's the jazz. Sits in that. It will sit in a mix, and you don't really need to do very much. Well, Rich will tell you he's got several. They just sit in the mix, but they're not always perfect for everything.
No.
Jazz
just compare that to a Jaydee.
Just right, and just poke out just a little bit at the top end. Yeah.
And what you were saying about no one watching your YouTube videos, you never know when one's going to blow up. So keep making them, keep doing them, and one day you might wake up to find the analytics have gone mental. So just to give you an example, we have a adept sax player in Uncle Funk who he teaches on his channel, and he's had 2 channels running for about 6, 7, 8 years. And 2 years ago, we'd done Soundcheck. We were just chilling out in the change room. And he said, "You got a YouTube channel?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, I've got 2 channels. On one of my channels, one of my videos just gone nuts." I said, "Well, what is it?" He said, "I'm just teaching like a piece of harmonic music and I'm playing along with a track." And he said, "It did nothing for like 6 years. It's done nothing, absolutely nothing, maybe a couple of hundred views." He said, "It's getting 10,000 views every single day. And I don't know why." I said, "Well, what's your analytics saying?" He said, "It just says external views. That could be coming from social media, could be coming from a website. Someone's pushed it into a thread. I don't know." He said, "But I'll take it." I said, 10,000 views every day. Yeah, I'd take it as well. I said, is it paying out? He went, oh, yeah. So you never know. You know,
none of all my stuff's copyrighted, so I do it for the fun of it.
Okay.
But it's like I've had it where, you know, I think it's when Lizzo's big track first came out. Was it Juice? What it was called?
Yeah.
I was the first person who put that on YouTube. Who slapped it. First person out there. But yet, we obviously some other people. I haven't got the demographic to show. I was the first person to put it on there. You know, okay, I've got good views, like 10, 14,000. For me, that's quite good. There's people out there that have done it 6 months ago. They've got 3 million. They've just got the traffic.
Yeah, that can happen. That can happen. But again,
I'm not bothered.
We have no control over the algorithm picking a video completely out of obscurity and throwing it in, and it just goes nuts. The way to think of it, and I say this to anyone that does YouTube channel, every video you make is an invite for that algorithm to do something with it, and just keep making them, give it more invites, and eventually things start to I've got it going on the channel at the moment. I've upped my shorts rate using live chats, going back into the old school live chats, pulling out some of the questions people are asking, giving them answers. I'm seeing quite good growth at the moment, I have to say. Everything's going up, everything's in the green. Got to keep it up, you know. None of this is easy. Anyone that comes out with a YouTube channel and hits a home run on their very first video, you're very lucky. It's relentless, this algorithm, and it changes. And this is why I was going to make today a vertical live stream, because I've done a couple past, as you know, Gareth. The analytics for those videos are off the charts. And I thought we'll do that for today's live chat, but I've got to go back into how to set the camera up for a vertical live chat, because a Canon camera ain't that easy. So you got to flip it on a tripod. So I've got to do that. We'll start doing that from July. I just see a load of messages. Frankie Hobbit, great chat, guys. Early start tomorrow. Off to your cot. Best regards. Well done, Mark. Glad you got that bass. Daniel Johnson, welcome. Good evening, Brooksy. Everyone, have you seen Level 42 Mark King Fait Accompi? Probably about 4,000 times. I think I wore out 2 VHS cassettes of it, documenting Mark King's bass solo unbelievably every fast, and he has never done it again. He does it in sound checks, but they never get filmed. His live solos, it's almost like he took his foot off the pedal after they stopped in 94 in that respect. He wanted to be musical, not technical. And it's a shame, because I look at Marcus Miller, and Marcus just carries on. And every album there's something different. And every time I see him on tour, it's something different. Mark has all that ability, but just hasn't kept pushing the envelope for whatever reason. I think I know the reasons, but he just doesn't want to do that. He's quite happy with what he does and how he does it, and good luck to him on that front, you know.
It depends what mood he's in as well, doesn't
it? Comes. Here it is. The man of a beard. Look at hello. Hello. I'm just going through the messages. Just bear with me a minute. Wolfans, live in Enschede 91 is peak series 2 tone. Yes. Listen to that recording about 200 times. Superb audio quality, recorded by Dutch Radio. Yeah, the live at Crystal Palace Bowl that was on Radio 1 is good as well, and is actually much better than the desk feed that I've heard, because they gave it loads of compression and bass boost and stuff, and it's in your face, whereas the desk recording is a bit flat in terms of EQ. George Iliadis, all the way from Australia. Good to see you, sir. Hope you're well. How are we doing, Mr. Pink Bass Man? What's happening?
Hello, I see JJ Bass, unless I'm blind.
Yes, you do. And the lovely Gareth Harrison as well.
Here we go.
Here he is. Shy, retiring.
And I just killed an excellent curry with Mr. Billy Sheehan.
Have you?
I just did. I just got back. That's why it's taken me a bit to jump on the
Did you tell him I need him to pick a date for his interview?
I did.
And what did he say?
He said he'll get back with you as soon as possible.
Bless him.
Okay, so I need to see some Queen inlays, shall we say? Come on, mate, bust it. Let me see it. Come on. There we go.
Look at that. Very nice. Well done, sir.
You know, ironically today, three of us with facial hair and this bloke with earphones on that doesn't have facial hair.
Don't do the facial hair thing. Never have.
All together now.
Clean shaven. Clean shaven. Got to maintain my youth. There ain't much of it left. I am surprised you're the first person that's done those inlays. I'm surprised no one else ever thought of that.
It just occurred. I'll tell you what, it's also that part of it on there, which I know I said at the time, that's my late father's initials from his passport signature.
Right.
And that came to me, the idea came to my head. And I've just had my other half sat next to me at the time. We were just driving, and literally I said it to her, and my dad's old car, which I'd sold for him, passed the other way. And I was like, if you're going to get a sign.
Spooky. Yeah.
Yeah. But literally that just came to me. Having the princess, I'd never seen anyone use the princess inlays. I'd seen was it Scott's base? He'd done them for himself, hadn't he? But Jaydee, I literally had to get Mark's permission to do it.
Yes.
And now Mark's basically divorced himself from social media. It's pretty much impossible to get hold of him. Obviously, I know you've got the hotline, but we're all not like you, aren't we?
I have the contacts. Yeah, I've got the email and the mobile. But
look at you.
That's lovely. That's good work. But like I say, I'm really surprised that no one else out of there's no bigger seller or influencer of Jaydee bass sales, but no one had ever had the forethought to do that.
Didn't know I meant that much to Jaydee, but thank you.
That's all right. That's all right.
It's a first.
But the thing is, you asked Mark if you could do that. We had this discussion last week because Jamie was talking about your inlays, and I said, if you go and ask people like Mark and Billy Sheehan, and if you ask them for permission for things, invariably they will say yes.
Yeah.
Occasionally they may say no, but as long as it's not causing them any grief, they'll say yes. The people that get the problems are those who just go into it like a bull in a china shop and think they can do what they want and don't realize things are copyrighted.
Yep.
That is a design. That is an artist design. And probably Mark has trademarked it and copyrighted it. A registered trademark because it's the design on the first album. It's intrinsically linked to the Level 42 brand.
Didn't Status and T-Dog, I think they allowed a one-off. Was it either a touch-up or a repaint of a King bass? And it was they're only allowed to do it once, and then they weren't allowed to do it again. Put the princess either back on or something on the Status.
Highly likely.
Just the one and only job at that time.
Yeah, I mean, the people that bought those at the time they came out, John Randall, talking to you, did very well.
Lee's got
there ain't going to be any
one
more.
Or two, isn't he? Lee Tavendy's got one or two.
Yeah. But the daft thing is, this all goes back to the days of the early Web Digest, the Level 42 Web Digest, because that's when those basses were coming out. You can't reference it now; it's all gone. It's none of it there. But when he came out with the King bass design, how many fans went and bought a King bass, and within 12 to 18 months, the lion's share of them went back up for sale because people suddenly realized they've put all that money in a bass. They aren't going to take up bass guitar. It's just sat there on a stand. What did you think was going to happen? You're going to suddenly buy a Mark King bass and you could play like him. No. It takes a bit of work, a bit of effort, a bit of practice. More
recently, the Music Man Joe Dark basses are the same people buying them up and then they're all up for sale.
Keeps happening. There's a few doing the rounds at the moment, and you see them every 10 to 12 weeks. Suddenly that sold a couple of months ago and it's back up and it's got another 400 quid, 500 quid on the price tag. Nothing's changed. It's just had a new set of strings. Wolf Hands, gorgeous Supernatural there. Can you give us a quick rundown? Jay.
That's you, Jay.
You get that lined up. I'll just rattle through these messages. Stacey Ann, intellectual property is still property, correct? Pink Bassman, indeed. Tis Davey. Your Titans go in there.
Fast fingers.
Well done. Yeah, fast fingers after chat. Well, it's because he had a curry with Billy Sheehan, you see.
I did.
Before Jay gives us a rundown of his bass, so what's the news in Sheehan territory?
Well, so he tried mine. He only had one bite.
I bet.
He had two mango lassies sitting on the table.
Oh,
because he's really two-handed in case it was going to blow off the top of his head,
Yeah. And he likes spicy food.
He does, but I had this done and they did it extra special because I brought some home for breakfast tomorrow.
Oh my God, fathers.
Yeah, time for a 3-egg omelet with a curry twist. Anyway,
the words fail. Anyway, but what's he up to? What's he up to, and what's happening next? What's he doing?
So, did you all see the video of him with the Yamaha Patitucci 6-string?
Yes.
Yep.
He was talking about that. He was sharing about that, and we were talking about it and whatnot. And the other guy who was with us is down here from New York City, and he's also got a swirly attitude, but his is different than mine because he had his routed out for the monkey grip like Steve Vai's guitar.
Okay.
And we just talked bass the entire time.
Excellent.
Yeah, good stuff. We're going to do it again. He said the next time we do it, there's going to be a round robin of a bunch of us all at his house playing all the basses.
Excellent.
You know,
super. Mate, there's your filming opportunity.
Yes. So,
yes, indeed.
And of course, I had to show, we were speaking about different basses and whatnot. Naturally, since Jay's going to give us a quick dissertation on his lovely bit of kit right there, we had a conversation about the Jaydees, and I, of course, busted out the photos and talked about Sir Nick and all that lovely stuff. And so, right. It was a good time. Good time.
Yeah, good. His health. I'm stuttering today. Stop stuttering. His health is okay.
His health is good. You got to have more cake. That's the problem. You haven't had cake today.
I don't have any cake. No, I haven't had cake today.
You had that chocolate and cupcake last time.
I did. I had 4. I had 2 on the night. I had 2 the next day. Oh, wow. By the way, I forgot to.
Look, speaking of the Queen.
2003
Princess
tour shirt, man.
Yeah.
There you go.
Have to say, back in the old days, Level 42 did some great shirts. I found my Staring at the Sun shirts today.
Lovely.
Yeah, grand. Very good. Right, Jay, hit us with it.
Go, Jay.
The floor is yours. I'm going to mute my mic.
As you can see, that finish off has gone out of my head, Jamie will say. That one. Yeah, that one. The star, Jaydee put the star in for me. That was a little reference from my dad. When I know they put that on the Star Child as well. And it's obviously standard length, 21 frets because it's a Mark King bass, Series 1. Just realised I've left the stickers on the back. So obviously, yeah, both sides done to keep it nice. Standard Jaydee controls, which are you can pick up selectors with your little LED. That's showing there. There you go. And you have master control, master tone, bass, mid, and treble. And I also have, you've got active and passive, but I've also have coil taps.
Oh, good man, good man.
Which is, I think, basically the same as a Star Child.
Yes.
Having a coil. And I just wanted those because I thought, you don't see it on many of them. And also, what's it going to sound like? I may possibly be putting some original pickups from a different bass because this has a brilliant sound, but I think my ears want to hear the original sound.
Mm-hmm.
It might be me just not playing it well enough, which is likely. But yeah, there's there's a definite tone difference between Nick's old bass here and this one here. Like the bridge pickup is got that Jaydee honk to it, but the when you put it, strangely enough, when you put it on the both pickup sounds, you've just got that early tape sound nailed.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect, absolutely perfect. It's that, and everyone, like people asking me when I first put I've only done a couple of videos with this one first. I think I covered a Steely Dan track because one of my dad's favourite bands, and I thought I'll give that little hint towards him, and I slapped it as well in like a Heathrow style sort of shuffle, and people saying, "Oh, I love that! I love the neck sound on those Jaydees." I'm like, it's both. It can't be. I'm playing it, of course it is, but yeah, it's just people because that sound is so thick and fat on it because the pickup spacing is so wide apart. You just get that huge sound.
Yep.
And it is absolutely lovely. And for anyone on the different forums that complains about the weight for Jaydees, shut up, it's worth it.
Weight, eh?
We agree.
Talk about weight.
You know when you're ordering it what the weight's going to be, so don't moan about it.
It was longer than they said it was going to be, but a lot had happened since. We lost John. They lost John, their dad, and their grandfather. And, you know, Mark started playing them again. So everything just went woomph.
Yeah.
Right.
So
this is the thing. I mean, people moan about walls taking ages, but you don't hear it on social media like you do with the JDs. They will have been upfront with you. I think the problem is people just get arsy because there's the communication channels aren't great. But if you know you're having a bass made and it could take 3, 4, 5 years, don't moan about it. It'll come through. They're not going to take your money and do a runner. That's not going to happen.
they're not going anywhere.
If they shut down tomorrow, you'd get your money back. Don't worry about it. It's not. It'll come.
Now you need a friend, Jay.
That I was that tempted between Nick's Red Jaydee or the Jacko, and there was a flea's leg hair width between what I was going to thought. I thought I just don't play fretless, and I don't play well enough full stop. But I don't know if I do it justice to have that such a rare, amazing bass. Is that Jacko? There's only
the only fretless. This is my only fretless.
Yeah. Well, remind us where you got that, Gareth.
I saved it from going into a skip because there was some damage underneath the pot. So I just put plastic washers on the pots.
He got it out of a skip.
That beats my tenor.
Right.
No, well, earlier, Jay. Sorry, Jay.
It's the West Tone.
Jay got an Aria Jazz for a tenner.
Yeah. Oh, for a tenner. Yeah.
A tenner.
It's now looking a damn sight cleaner.
There we go.
Very good.
Probably made in the same factory.
You know.
That's it. Exactly. Yeah.
Trust me.
Matsumoku bass out of a skip.
This is the way. It's the only fretless I've got right now. Anyway, except there's another one coming, isn't there, Mr. Brooks?
There's probably a couple coming if you can get Bass Brothers to do you a video.
Well, you know, there's that. There's also a bloke that has got another one for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah. They're racking up.
I don't
You're
mind.
gonna need a container shipping these all back in September.
Oh well, you know. Well, you know already that I don't.
If I take the pot off, you can see where I've done the repairs to it.
That's it. 'Cause it was all caved in. It was all caved in.
Yeah.
Not unlike your status, Jay, where it's all been dented in around the control.
Did you ever see the picture of my status I had about 12, 13 years ago, where someone had literally put a completely different piece of wood over the top of it as a status 3000? It was a wooden body, and someone had just like, oh, this is a mod. Just slapped a bit of MDF on the top and put the pots back on. I mean, it works. But Jesus Christ, I dread to think what was underneath.
Yeah, there was a whole period where the Bass Exotica thing, people just weren't bothered, and you get handymen doing stuff on guitars, and then you see it now, and it's like, oh my God. But they didn't care if it didn't have Fender, Rickenbacker, or Gibson on the headstock. You know, how many statuses, JDs, Alembics, all dismembered for various things. And this bit's come. Oh, we'll just put a bit of that on. But that, you see, that's where, with a keen eye, you can spot a bargain. You see, so you can go, oh well, I know the workmen that do this, and you buy it cheap and you ship it off and you let them do their magic. And now that the fact that JD has got that group of people all within the same family doing all those different jobs, couldn't go back to a better. If it was a JD, it couldn't go back to a better place. You know.
Agreed.
Right.
Likewise, if you bought an Alembic here in the UK and there were some serious issues, I would consider taking it back to the mothership. But you could go to the gallery, or maybe JD's guys could do it. Dave Wilson, all these. You know, there are ways and means. There are ways.
JD used to do a lot of work on the Alembics where they moved the pickup selectors to the same place, didn't they? Because obviously Slapper got popular and people were just twatting it with their hands. Yeah,
and suddenly realising when I got blood dripping all down their arm.
John Randall has that one from Kingy.
Yeah. Well, that's it. John Randall's one has got the brass plate, and it got moved. It's all good. Actually, I will give a notable mention. I haven't mentioned this. Is At This Great Distance.
Yeah,
it's one of my favourites. Should have been on the album. Actually, could replace the Ape with most things that weren't included on that album. But and I've never seen them do it live. I don't think they've ever done it. It was just a studio
Those
cut.
those 2-3 tracks they did as B-sides during
As
the
years go
Guaranteed
by.
era.
Yeah.
Yeah. All was it All She Wants? No,
All She Wants, which is the Guaranteed single.
Yeah.
As Years Go By was the B-side for
Overtime.
Yes. And At This Great Distance was one of the B-sides for Father's Shoes.
And they all had Jacko on.
Yeah.
They should have done so much more with Jacko.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Did anybody mention Return of the Handsome Rugged Man?
done that.
Good.
I've already done that.
Good.
That's the but again, two bass lines mixed together. It's you can't actually replicate it exactly. So I think that's why he always sort of shirks away from doing it.
Unless
Just
you're
give Nathan with Jaydee and they can both do it.
Well, there we go.
Jones and Giblin, have them play wall to wall. Same idea.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
But yes, it is 10 to 10 here in London town, here in the UK. Brooks's Bass Corner live chat 118. Yes, fans, there's 118 of these. And they're all on the YouTube channel, all in the live chat playlist. So if you want to check anything out, it's all there. If you've been watching the shorts over the past week, thank you for all the likes, all the comments, all the shares, all the new subscribers. Fabulous. Blazing work, people. Can't thank you anymore.
I always have a good. If you're going to watch my shorts, ooh.
Yeah, well, they do. I've
Of
been
course
watching your shorts.
Well,
the past couple of days.
If you use shorts, anyway.
Yeah, big fat shorts.
Right.
That's it. Richard, busy week prepping?
Not bad at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, on and off, bit of travel. Been to Henley and Alden twice for family,
nice.
and you know, did my 2 days away. Did Gloucestershire on Wednesday and Wiltshire on Thursday, and then back up again. Yeah.
Have you sold that status yet?
I sold the Series 1.
Oh, very good.
And,
did you get what you wanted?
Yes, and I got a part exchange as well.
Oh, which is?
Last week we were chatting about grooves.
Yes.
And I've got a really, really, really clean one.
Is that the red one that the guy was selling as 3? The guy on Facebook had 3.
No idea.
Oh, what colour is the one you've got?
Claret. Sort of.
Oh, it might be that. There was a guy
red.
selling 3 statuses. So he had the groove, he had a smart bass, which I think he was selling for about 1,600, and he's also selling an energy which has a graphite wrap, humbuckers, but the energy 3-pot circuit.
Okay,
yeah.
So maybe it's that same guy.
Never know. Yeah.
No, is the groove a keeper? Bearing in mind you had one before and sold it.
Probably not. No.
So I'll see that on Bass Chat in about 20 minutes then.
15. Yeah.
It's already there.
Already on there, yeah. In and out.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wheeling and the dealing.
We do a bit occasionally, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
keep your hand in.
Oh, yes.
Very good. So, Mr. Millard, I've had good reactions to your discussions last week on buying vintage basses.
Yes, it was good.
Yeah, very good. That's been remix shorts this week. And yes, lots of people commenting and getting involved in that. So,
good.
Yeah.
Good. We can natter on about that all you like.
Particularly about the headstock that wanted to be a tree again.
Oh, yes. You should think it was terrible.
A couple of months ago, I picked up a Fender Haynes manual for a couple of quid in a charity shop. There's a lot of useful information on serial numbers and things in that.
Yeah. It's a good book. It's a good book. Keep hold of that. Very useful reference if you suddenly get offered something that you think, is it? Mm-hmm. Is it not? And yet, as we were saying on the chat last week, Jamie was saying, you know, back then they had bins full of bodies, necks, components, pickups, controls, bridges, all of that, and they would lump it together. And you don't know, as far as they were concerned, there's your precision bass or your jazz bass or whatever. It wasn't some guy there going, "Oh, we got a perfectly matched alder body here with a maple and rosewood neck." And yeah.
No.
Yeah, all the dreams about sitting there cross-legged going, "Oh, look, the body." Oh.
Yeah.
None of that stuff is anything. That's all rubbish.
Yeah.
Yes. Very true.
Yep.
Yes. In actual fact, my Jazz Elite it's actually marked as, it was made in 2016, but the neck code actually says 2015. So yeah,
they've never stopped doing this, have they?
No, true.
No, it's always been that way. You just never can tell, because as soon as they started ramping up large numbers, large quantity of bits, that's exactly what happened. The dates, they wrote the dates in or stamped the dates in on 60s and 70s ones, and then they threw them in the bin, and then just somebody kind of went and put it all together.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you can't be sure of providence. People say it's a certain thing.
Yeah.
Can you even check in someone's living room? You know, it's, even if they've got the thing taking the bits, yes, you can see a date stamp on the neck, maybe one on the body in the neck pocket, but how do you know all the other bits? It's just, so you have to go on the word of retailers, but you know,
yeah,
some retailers, they'll take it as read, it is what it is, and get it straight back out the door again. But you don't know. You don't.
Absolutely, yeah.
You don't.
And I think that the actual simple thing is, they've actually been building them for 65 years. Why not just buy a newer one?
Yeah. Well, that's actually what Jaydee was saying last week.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, they're all new once. I mean,
they are absolutely.
They're all new once. I mean, Jay's got that lovely little Series 1 there that is brand new, and it's brand new once. Right now, it's his.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, which means it's no longer brand new, even though it was made
newish.
Ish. Right.
Yeah, that's it.
Solid.
Oh, someone's sound keeps popping in.
Hello.
That is number one son. Yes.
Number one son. Good evening, number one son.
Yes. Is that the one that's inheriting everything?
The one who the JDs from going to pot if and when I get put in the ground.
Very good. So what's on your schedule? You doing the gigs last week?
So I've had
there was some more stuff coming up.
I've had 2 weeks of adventure with a couple of country artists, one female, one male. The female ones were quite interesting because we were in 3 different spots. Basically, we went from here to Virginia up to Maryland, which was about a 10-hour ride, and back down to North Carolina for another 6-hour ride, and then back home. That was the first roundabout, complete without a Rickenbacker. Oh no, it's a Bloody Mary. I've got it says Chris. Yeah. Anyway, so right. The second one,
I'll just work it.
The curve has just gone to my head, you know. Now on the second round, the guy I played for, the guy that I played for, he was on a show called The Voice, and about 6 or 7 years ago, he won The Voice. So we went to the Hard Rock Cafe in Virginia, went up to Pennsylvania and played some bits. And then unfortunately, the last one we were there, the drummer had just set up his stuff, downpour rain. So it was covered, so it was okay. But 10 minutes into it, we'll wait until this passes, you know, all that stuff. 30 minutes into it, crack of lightning, show's over.
Not happening. Yeah, you ain't doing that.
No, so he had it written into his agreement, and he does every time, that if something happens that's beyond the control, we all still get paid. So
good.
We were cared for on that level, and we just had a great time, and you know, all the travel and all the whatnot. And I got home. They decided that they were going to do they were going to raw dog it, so to speak, which in this case means if we were going to play the gig, we would have played the gig, packed it up, and drove home.
Yeah.
So instead, it was he plays the gig acoustic. We sit around having water, pizza, and whatnot else, and somebody had a pint here and there and all that. And then everything was already packed up, so off we go then. So we came home. It was 8 in the morning by the time I dove into the bed.
Oh,
I remember those days.
I had a few quick naps along the way, where you just kind of pass out, eat. But we got that sorted, and we got home, and it was fine. I mean,
cool.
I've got a couple of others I'm trying to decide if I want to do or not. It'll just depend on the dosh, and it'll depend on if I want to ride like that again.
That's it. That's the way it works. I can see a message from Wolfhands. You had a cracking jazz from the early 90s with a super skinny neck, very light body with the Kabiki preamp. It looked so bland, but it played and sounded fab. I bet it's the same as my Jazz Bass Plus here, and I bet you had the natural ash body finish, which is probably why it looked so bland. It's probably
that's the book I was on about.
That's it.
And the bass manual.
Keep hold of that. That's a Bible, that. You need
That's one of them.
Definitely keep hold of that.
Yep.
Yes, Wolfhands. I think that would be a Jazz Bass Plus. I've got one here recently purchased. 2 seconds.
How many bases? Too many bases. Just one more.
Always.
There's always one more bass.
Of course it is.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
The actual trick is to actually buy a larger house.
Or just at least have a large room in the house.
Cheaper. That would be cheaper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Jay's back from the loo.
Here we are.
No. If I don't make tea in the evening, I'm in trouble.
Oh, yeah,
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
made him a cup of tea after the loo. Isn't that great?
Here we are. So we're talking Mark King level 42 tonight. Favorite moments, favorite solos, performances, tracks, B-sides, album tracks, the whole caboodle.
And we talked about Foundation and Empire yet?
No, we haven't, have we? No, we haven't. Well, there's a killer. That and actually there's a few around that early period. I remember when I was at uni and I was just coming out the other side about to turn pro, and I got in a real phase of basically the local record shop in Kingston was called Collectors Record Centre. They had one in Kingston, one in Woking, one in Guildford, and I think they had one in Aldershot. I went to 3 of them, and the one in Kingston I'd go to regularly, and literally every week someone would be clearing out the vinyl collection or what have you, and I picked up literally over time, over about 6 months, a complete set of level 42 12 inches, which we didn't have the box sets at that time. It wasn't a thing. But to get my hands on those and see what we didn't really have the internet. I hadn't really kicked in. Even though I was at uni, everything was Unix based. It was just pages and pages of text. It was, I got one of them.
You got one of these?
I've got one of them. Yeah. Got it for 30 quid off eBay about 7 years ago.
A tenner.
Well, then you did very well, young man, didn't you?
You did extremely well.
Yes, indeed.
Worth it just for the Fait Accompi in there. Yeah, got one of those in the loft.
There you go.
Yeah. That's it. There was things like that were gold dust to be able to fight. That was the forerunner. That was the forerunner to that.
Oh, and wait, there's more.
Go on.
Okay.
There's always more. Right, let's see. Got. I bet I've got one you haven't. Right, okay. Stay there. Talk amongst yourselves. I've got a video. I've got a DVD you ain't got.
Oh, yes. So you guys have all seen this one, right?
Rockpalast?
Yes.
This is live from Metropolis. So this one.
That one.
This is the one with the photo attached.
Nice.
So there's that. I've got actually two Rockpalasts. They're both different because one's from '83 and one's from '84.
Yep.
There's that, and then of course our favorite,
Running in the Family.
Yeah. Well, this is live at Wembley.
All right. Yeah.
So there's that. Let's see. What is this one? This is Town and Country Club London.
Good one.
Yeah. And then, of course, the German special.
Was it the live at Wembley or the Prince's Trust where somebody made a Mark King parody and actually did
That's the Wembley one.
Wembley one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, of course, this Reading. This was King Bass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is the video. This is the video collection.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that just Polydor years?
What's that?
Was that just the Polydor years, the videos? I haven't bought half of those. I stopped collecting for ages and got back into it more recently.
Cool. See, I don't know is that I've collected them so much, is that when they came about, I just figured I could find when I found it. I'd find a clip of something and I'd go search it out. And so I'd end up with, a pile of these DVDs. So, I just kind of went along with it. I have the record. I have all the CDs as well. There, yeah, including the Sirens and all that. And then I've got as many of them on vinyl as I could get from the original bits, not the re-releases because I haven't had a chance to do that yet.
Mm.
So I can't say
the
Go on.
The DVD, which is the rarest one. It's obviously it's not just them. It's that Prince's Trust 89 gig. Where
Right.
I think they only printed that on DVD in Japan or something, and it's hen's teeth to get.
No,
It's
Well,
just
Gaffer's returned.
That was the
you
80,
probably got it.
the 87 as well, wasn't it? We was playing the Blue Jaydee.
Yeah, he did that track with Go West as well, didn't he?
You sure did, yeah. Yep.
Gave it some welly.
And then there's the Nick Kershaw track.
Oh, easy. But not to play.
Well, it's kind of fun to play, actually, but
Right.
Right.
What I've dug out here. So anyone that was on the old Level 42 email digest that then became a web digest, we used to have various fan projects.
Oh, boy.
So in about 1996, 97, cultivating this huge fan base that was all over the world. You had people in America didn't know about all the B-sides and the extra tracks and the this and the that. Ollie Bowen, good to see you. Who is this Level 42? You've never heard of them. I didn't think you had. That's why we're covering them here today. So the first thing, actually, there's more to this conversation. Right. Let me go and I've got like this box that's got all my bit. 2 seconds and then it's joined up thinking, right? Hold on. Let's do this properly.
Okay, I think we've stumped him.
I thought he was hosting.
I heard a pause button go off right here, and he went, oh, wait, we got to go. And so he's going to get something.
I actually thought he was bringing his Jazz Plus, and he then didn't.
He kind of popped it up on the screen. You could see it because it was that silver black sunburst thing. But
I actually blinked, probably.
It's all right. Maybe you need a tea. I got your tea.
No.
Properly, eh?
Something.
There we go.
Like that, yeah.
All right.
Maybe some LEDs will do, yeah?
That'll do just
How's
that.
Now I can talk with some sort of sense of accuracy. Right. So in this box, I have all my Level 42 stuff. It's big. So this has got all my CDs with MP3 recordings back from 2001, before all the old gigs were released for consumption. So I used to do like double discs, which would have 2 gigs on one, Montreux and Birmingham Odeon 83 and all of that. Anyway, what we were saying was there used to be fan projects. So this is 1997. So you had all these fans going, how do I get the A-sides? How do I get the B-sides? What about all these? Bunch of fans got together. And we did the first CD. So remember scanning, it was hard. We had like handheld scanners and all of this. Produce this, which is called As Years Go By. So this had the B-side to Love Me in Love, instrumental love. 42, Bees are 1, Foundation, Empire 1 and 2, Return of Handsome, Rugged Man, Freedom, Can't Walk You Home Through. It was all the B-sides, right? All really nice, done really nice inlay, and you had to send off for it, and it came in the post. Obviously, CD burners had just kind of started coming out, and Winston Walker was the instigator of a lot of this, and Carl Muller. We had all these, and they made their own inlays, and it was all really nicely done, well researched, and all that. Great.
Well, Carl was the go-to man, wasn't he? He ran forevernow.com.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's a shame that didn't carry on because it was great. It was really good. Some of it's still there. It's all archived, and you can get to it. So that was the first CD. Then we had this.
I don't know what it's called. Yeah.
Past and Presents, which was all the live B-side. So you've got Thunderbirds, Micro Kid, Physical Presence, Silence Man, Overtime Guaranteed. If you were all the stuff that was on the sort of CD singles and stuff, and some of the 12-inch vinyls. And also at that time, unless you bought the vinyl, if you'd bought the CD of Physical Presence, you didn't have Turn It On, Mr. Pink, and 88. Well, those are the three tracks you most definitely wanted. So that came out. So that was 97. There's an inlay and stuff there. It was all done, all very nice. And then someone did this, which was great, which is basically 19 tracks all segued into one another. They were like a professional DJ, and they managed to do it all, and it's great. You can actually find that online. I think they made it available. So then this came out, and so this was like the last of the fan projects, which is Dreams and Visions. So this is basically a video compact disc. Before we had YouTube and all that, basically it's got the videos for Are You Hearing What I Hear, Weave Your Spell, Out of Sight, Out of Mind. Both versions are guaranteed. Overtime, 2 versions of My Father's Shoes, Forever Now, 2 different versions of All Over You, Love in a Peaceful World, and Bitter Moon. So that was like 98, 99. That was it.
Cool.
Which is why when you showed me that big bundle of DVDs, I thought, bet you ain't got that. They didn't do many. And at the time, I didn't have internet at home. I would only hear about stuff. Friends would say, oh, this is available. Do you want to get it? And it was one of those things. If you didn't say yes and pay your money when it was up, they were gone within about a week, and they never did second runs. So I know for a while people were still trying to collect these things. Although once they came out with the double disc, these, once they started coming out with that, you didn't need to have that, because these had all those tracks. Yes, mate.
One of the guys that Winston that was put together a lot of the fan projects was actually involved in putting those 2001 remasters together as well.
Yes,
you'll find his name on the back of them.
Simon, I think it was,
and Winston Walker.
Yeah, they're all in there. They're all mentioned in there. Crazy times.
Fun times.
That's it. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else. Some people get a bit confused with. So there's 2 versions of that. Sometimes people get confused.
I have the one.
One's worth a lot of money.
I had the top one. Yeah.
I got the.
So that was the standard UK release, and then this, I think, was for the American market, Resurgence 95. All the tracks are in a different order. You've got a couple of extra tracks on there. A couple of the B-sides are on there. And a couple of the songs are different. Billy's Gone is a totally different version of the song.
Yeah, that's all.
So,
yeah.
All of that. So you do get the occasional person on various forums going, "Oh, there are 2 versions." Yes, there are. And then you've got versions of the RCA years, which is an amalgamation of that album and Guaranteed. And now you've had all sorts of reissues of both of those. I think have been out on vinyl recently. So
2 different versions, same idea.
Yeah, all of that.
Same with these, because this is the US.
And then there's that, which back in the 90s, that's it. Yeah. Back in the 90s, that was a thing. You couldn't really find level 42 bootlegs to buy. It was very difficult. And that was in a record fair. I think it was £8. Now it's become a bit of a thing, but that's the original cover.
That's the only live performance of Last Chance on it ever. We recorded.
That's it. Yeah. And he
Not
starts
that I'm
the
a nerd or
intro
anything.
wrong. He introduces it as the wrong song. Yeah.
Yep. Eyes Water Falling, Last Chance.
He wasn't thinking. Oh, and that was another one. Or was it? Or was that one I did? Level 42 Digest Project 01. The World Machine demos before it became easy to get all this stuff.
Right.
That might have been the last one. So that had its own little inserty thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wowzers.
Yeah.
How time's flown.
On 42 FM on YouTube, the guy he's been listing a load of stuff, including all like the studio sessions from that time as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Great stuff on there.
Yeah. So these are another thing. This was another fan project. These are called the Unreached Levels. So this had all the instrumentals and extended mixes.
Cool.
They all got amalgamated into these fan projects. So.
4 CDs, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it's 2 doubles.
Yep.
Good stuff.
With their inserts, so you work out which version's which. The upfront mix. And it tells you which B-side, which album, which 12-inch each of these is from. There were a couple of things on here I'd never even heard of, didn't even know they existed. Now it's all commonplace. Just go on YouTube and you find it. It's easy, but we didn't have all that. And you couldn't readily find this stuff. You know, you had to go searching in record shops, and occasionally you might just find. I remember going in Tower Records in Kingston. They were closing down, and their whole upstairs section was just full of, well, they were just basically clearing the store, and they'd get fresh stuff in every 2 weeks or so. I remember going in there, all the level 42 12 inches CD singles were all there. I was like picking them out, going bags worth of these. Happy days. It was a more innocent time. We've got messages here. Right, Ollie. Hello, Jamie. I can just about see that lovely Series 1 in the background, JJ. Yep, we went over it. Damn it, missed it. Lee Bolton, Mike, do you remember Dreams and Visions? That was it. That's what we just talked about, wasn't it?
Yep.
Oh, yes, see you have. Wolfans, great chat tonight, chaps. Have a very good evening. Thank you very much. Bless you. It is coming up 10:20 here in London. Live chat 118 here on Brooks's Bass Corner. Big shout out to all the new subscribers, all the likes, all the thanks, all the comments, sharing the videos. Fabulous. Go on, Jamie. What?
I say this is the Jaydee chat tonight on Brooksy's Live.
It's a bit of that, isn't it? Yeah.
It isn't all Jaydee, though. It can
no, we've got a bit of
graphite floating around.
We've covered a lot of ground. A lot of ground, I'll tell you.
Right.
We haven't even got on to Mark's Stingrays, for Christ's sake.
Well, we know who had one of those.
Yeah, I had one.
That's right.
For all of 5 years. Yeah, 5 years. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that day very well. Rob Steen will appear now because Rob and I were there the same day at the bass centre. And Ollie's saying Nick's old roadie always loved that bass, 82. Is it an 82?
Yep.
Jay?
Yep.
It's the one with the slim neck.
Yeah. The other one, the Tobacco Sunburst one's in getting refinished at the moment.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's a thin
very
old neck.
slim neck.
Oh yeah.
Brass nut, and it's got that. Obviously, you can see well played. We can get the light on it somewhere.
Yeah. Is that? Are you going to have that refinished or leaving it as is?
I don't know.
Leave it.
It's nice as it is.
The thing is, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Unless I can get some light on it. Right underneath the bottom here, I think someone must have put a slap plate in or something.
Right.
Holes. Don't
Right.
be able to get. Yeah. Hang on. I've got a bit more light. Might work. No, that's not going to work from there.
It's all right.
Right, literally, there is 2 holes. I mean, they're nothing big. You can't see them from a distance, but it's annoying.
Do you like having like a plate underneath the strings near the neck so that when you're slapping, the distance for your plucking fingers isn't so huge? Because you could put another, like a clear perspex under there.
Finger ramp.
problem is, look at the size of my hands. I don't need any more gaps.
Big old mitts, isn't it?
I don't need any
you got
help.
fat fingers. Fat fingers.
I'm not little, so you know, it takes some getting used to slapping on the Series 1, because I had, on Nick's suggestion, I had that part of the neck. If you can see it slightly, just goes down slightly.
Cambered down.
Wrapped,
round it down, just because he said it makes just pulling that little bit easier, because you do have to shift it slightly differently. And
you don't want your the quick of your finger where the nail is keep hitting that sharp edge of wood.
No, so he said, just make that a bit more room, just a bit, because obviously that neck pickup is very close. It does take some getting used to.
Judge, for you, Mike has seen this before, but you want to learn how to slap. Learn how to slap on this face.
Yeah, good luck with that.
You have to get in here.
Get your fingers under that.
Yeah, you have to get in this. This is only literally that's much space. So
crazy
if you
stuff.
slap on one of these, slapping on that is nothing.
No,
Because it is right here.
That much room.
That's it. Yeah, I hear you, Rich.
Yeah,
that's the one I can't get used to, because it's so far down, like that status, and so it makes it such a small base. This looks like makes it look like a short scale, but it's not.
Yeah.
But it's it's a decent base, but also that long elongated section there that does nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's for, but
that was quite a trend. That was quite a trend in the 90s, especially on things like Washburns. They would have that inlay that the neck would sit in the pocket and the fingerboard would stretch out.
Yeah,
be even further into the body.
Well, I think there's one on for that as well.
Yeah. It was a trend, and it didn't last very long.
Thankfully.
Some guy, we had a DVD vendor on the West Coast called DVD Pacific, and you could mail order almost any obscure concert DVD. Those were the days, my friend. Unfortunately, a lot of that stuff now, you just got to go on eBay and hope for the best. Ollie, your Series 2 has got an extremely thin neck. Some hippies got a hold of it in the 90s, did some terrifying modifications. I
spoke to the guys at Jaydee about that, and they knew about the bass. And they said there was a guy that used to, around that time, that was helping John or do a few little bits. And he said, because I don't know if you remember when Nick had this bass, he did a couple of videos. And he said, like, he said the body contours were different to a normal JD's. And he said there was a guy in that was helping do a few odds and sods that didn't quite do the shaping and everything quite to how he does it. And obviously his family got to retain this information, so that's why this one is just that little bit different.
Nice,
but it does. I mean, it's a lovely piece of kit, though. I can't fault it apart from it needing a service, basically.
Yeah.
Well, Jay, just so you know, there's going to be something else coming across the pond with me when I come visit. Since you're speaking of our dear friend.
I think I have a feeling. I think Ali might have said of said item.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. Tristan Green, Turn It On live at Rockpalast 83 is a particular highlight. Very good. I'd agree. Yeah, exactly.
83.
Exactly. The original Rockpalast DVD had both shows in one. Yeah. And by 2005, you couldn't buy it anymore.
Right.
You could only get it on eBay.
That's
right. It's been out for a couple of years because basically Rockpalast released loads of their old shows, which is how you could get the Marcus Miller one, the Mark King one, Tower of Power, Huey Lewis, all of that.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. And by 2005, you couldn't get it anymore. And then they brought out the Turn It On DVD, which is basically both of those shows on one disc. So I think it's one disc, or is it two? I can't remember. You can check it. You got it there, haven't you?
Because I've got them.
I had it there. You just had it. You showed it to the camera.
I had to get them separate.
Yeah, the Turn It On one. The Turn It On one. Is that one disc or two in there?
Which one?
The Turn It On one. Yeah, the red one.
This one.
Yeah,
one disc.
There's one disc.
And one disc in this one.
Okay, so both shows are on. Right. Okay. For some
Yeah,
reason,
run this on.
I thought the original Rockpalast was 2 separate discs. But
No.
see, I got
Yeah.
sent a VHS in about 1995, just when the email digest had started kicking in and people were swapping tapes and I remember copying a bunch of the tapes I had and sending them off to America, and someone did me a copy of Rockpalast 84, 83, so I had it on VHS. So this is in 1995, so the band had stopped as far as we're concerned. That's it, done, finished. And when I got that video, I nearly died. I was like, because you couldn't get this stuff, you couldn't buy it. If you YouTube was still 10 years away. Nowhere really online had any of this stuff. You couldn't find it. And here I had a video of both of those shows. And I just remember metaphorically wetting myself, just going, I can't believe I've got this. And my mate, Jamie, both of us were huge Level 42 fans. I said, you won't believe what I've got. He said, oh, what you got? What you got? I said, no, just buy a bottle of red wine and I'll come round Saturday afternoon. We'll put this on. I want to see the look on your face. And got to Heathrow's first track on the 83 one. And he just went, he said, how did you get this? Where did you get this from? I said, contacts. Don't you worry about that. I said, but at least I've got it. So and I did him an audio cassette and he was very happy with that. Right. What we got? Harry Rogers. Good to see you, sir. You're always welcome here. You know that. Your black Jaydee has an extra thin neck at the headstock. Probably along the same lines then as that roadie. Daniel Johnson, Level 42. We're playing Hot Water on. Oh, we've done this. Nathan King. Oh, hang on. Was playing Hot Water on a YouTube video, sorry. And in the audience, 3 men were walking behind each other and Mark sang right, left, jump it. And Nathan King started to laugh. Yeah. I've heard a few stories from Nathan, actually, but I've got none that were, well, not for repeating. Tristan, awesome, guys. The one where Mark says, turn it down, to the sound guy in the very beginning on the tune.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be on Rockpalast 84, where the Lindrum goes into overload and basically isn't triggering anymore. It's just doing its own thing. So throughout I think it's almost there. It's just going, and yeah, you can tell all the band looking at each other going, what the is going on here? But there we are.
Wasn't it still set up for Huey Lewis and the News from the who were on previously? And they did then sorted the same. I heard some rumor about that.
I don't know. There's a clip in it where you can see Phil Gould take his drumstick and try and turn the dial down. So obviously they've got it was around the time of True Colours, so they were going for and I remember Mark saying they were trying to recreate their studio drum sounds by having a Lindrum on stage. So clearly there was a trigger with the snare drum, but the problem was the repeat on the thing. So you hit the drum, then the sound goes off to the sound man. The delay time was such that Phil turned the dial and it suddenly goes through the whole song. And Mark's like, I'm trying to fucking play this. And clearly monitors loud and you've got this Lindrum going all the way through the track. It's put anyone off, you know.
It's the same gig during Mark's solo where Mike's keyboard failed, wasn't it? It just stayed on that.
Yeah, all of that. Tristan, it's either 83, it's 84. It was not a good gig, but I think they were all a bit leathered. They'd all been on the old Charlie, and they were flying on that gig. And whoever had set the kit up and had done the sound before they went on clearly had made a fairly massive faux pas. But that's what it is. Tristan, I love Phil Gould's drumming. I think we all do. The Groove guys are my favourite. Being a drummer myself that loves bass players, of course, that's why you're here. Dan Johnson, Mark King had a bass guitar stolen from a hotel. Yes, 1990, the very first Empathy bass made by Status with a headstock as well, and it got nicked, and it eventually turned up. He'd already had the insurance money, and Nick Smith owned it for a while.
Of course he did.
There's pictures of him with it. Yeah. And I think he contacted Mark maybe through the management and said, or he might have done it through Status, I think, and said, does Mark want this back? And he'd already said, no, I've had the insurance money. It can go. So Nick had it for a while and then sold it on. Also, does anyone know what the cost of a new Alembic bass with the lights in Series 2? You want a Series 2 brand new in their catalogue with no extras, forget the LEDs, $45,000.
Right.
That's not taking away the distributor and retailer discounts that you can have if you buy it through a shop. You're probably looking at in excess, I don't know where you are, Dan. In the UK, you'd be looking at about 20 to 25 grand, maybe 30. Brand spanking new. But it depends on the discounts that are prevalent at that time. Every month they update their buyers' discounts, retailers' discounts.
There is no discount.
Marcus Bell got a very hefty discount, but then didn't go through with buying the bass. So there are, because I know what his quote was for that one, and it was considerably less than 45 grand. Put it that way. Ollie, 45k, just shed a tear. If a secondhand, we were talking about this earlier, secondhand one comes up, Series 2 in the UK, 15 grand, I think.
Yeah.
I can't remember last time I saw a secondhand Series 2.
I can tell you, I've seen them, but here, not in the UK. So here they're 10 to 15, depending on how beat up they are and what they come with. If they got the power supply and the cable and the case and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think you're looking at 15. I've not seen one on eBay for a very, very, I'm seeing a Series 2 on Reverb. They just don't come up. I've got all the alerts set up, but they just don't tend to appear because they're rare. You know, not many people ever bought them anyway. Generally, they bought Series 1s, Persuaders, and Spoilers.
And the distillate.
They didn't sell. They didn't. No, I don't see many of them either.
I've had a couple of those.
Say again, Jay?
Isn't that what Prince had? He used one of those.
Yeah. Prince's band had Spoilers and Persuaders. So Spoiler generally has 2 humbuckers. I've got Nick's old Persuader here. He only had it for a year and a bit. It's a Persuader, but without the P&J pickups. So basically, the Persuader range was launched to provide a vehicle for Alembic's P&J pickups. But the guy that ordered this in 1990 opted for humbuckers. So it is what it is. But Prince early 80s. After 1999, which was 82, Purple Rain, Around the World in a Day, Parade, Sign the Times are all Persuaders and Spoilers. Sign the Times live video, that's a spoiler. And
you've seen the one that's got that certain, it's got like a real prominent artwork on it. It's a white one with artwork.
Yes. Yeah, that's a spoiler.
Was that a one-off? Because there's a picture of Sting using it. Same artwork. So I don't know if it just... There you go, Mr. Sting.
Tell you.
Could have been.
Couldn't tell. I've never seen Sting use an Alembic, but I know he always used Alembic preamps. It could well have been. Was Prince on stage with Sting, or was it on a police gig?
I don't know. My good friend of mine, Jerry, who's on like a lot of the forums as well. He tagged me in this picture saying, "What bass is this?" And I was like, "I know that from someone else," and it just had the same artwork on an Alembic.
That white one was used from around the period, it's like tail end of Purple Rain through Around the World in a Day, and then the Parade tour. So if you see the show from Detroit, that's that bass. That bass player is Mark Brown Mark. He then left after that, and the bass player from Sign the Times, Love Sexy, Batman and the Nude tour was Levi Seeker Jr., who then became guitar player from Diamonds and Pearls onwards. So, but he was in the Prince team for years. Yeah, he took over on bass, but Levi then went to guitar. So when I saw Prince on Love Sexy in the Nude tour, it was Levi doing bass. Then he moved over to doing guitar. He's phenomenal on both, outstanding. Tristan, Sign the Times from Prince's Hall of Fame induction ceremony is so good. The whole medley, of course, everything Prince. There's a box set coming, super deluxe box set for Around the World in a Day coming. Parade is next year. Then we're hoping we get Love Sexy box set because there's going to be some killer stuff on there.
Check out Prince's first album with he's playing on there, considering he did everything, as we know. But he did he was almost doing solos on Just As Long As We're Together, was it?
Yes. Yeah.
Or I'm Yours.
First two albums is pretty much him.
Just stunning.
And the second album's great. I've always liked that. Then we get into Dirty Mind, and that's when he's then got the players coming in and doing the stuff. But there's a look, anyone, I can hardly recommend the first Prince album up to Batman. It's all there. It's all there. After that, it kind of, the waters get a bit murky, and Diamond and Pearl's got some great tracks on it. It's got a lot of filler on it too. The Symbol album after that, that's similar. He was just trying to fill CDs at that point.
Old Experience ad was better.
Yeah, the Come album. I remember buying that the day it came out. I thought, please let this be a really good album. And it was just a bit wishy-washy. But he kind of found, once he did the Emancipation album, a couple of albums after that, Chaos and Disorder was good. Old Friends for Sale is good.
He was on his own record label then, wasn't he? MPG Records.
But see, I love Rainbow Children. I know what the subject matter is. I don't care for all the religious nonsense, but the actual album itself, fabulous tracks on there. And then if you get the One Night Alone album, which is the tour marker of after Rainbow Children come out, blew my mind.
Check it on that album. Check out Joy and Repetition. That's
well, because of that live album, I got in touch with Rhonda Smith. So I emailed her and said, what are you using as a fuzz pedal on there? Because there are a couple of times in tracks, you kick that in. It's just like a flavor change. You're playing away, you kick that thing in 4 bars and you bring it back out again. What's the pedal? She said, you won't believe what it is. I said, well, try me. She said, it's a Dan Electro Fab Tone. We've had this discussion here on the live chat before. I said, you are joking. I said, that's like 35 quid off eBay. I said, Dan Electro pedals don't have a good reputation. She said, I'll tell you why it's Dan Electro Fab Tone, because it's what Larry Graham used to replace his space fuzz on his pedal because he didn't want to take it out.
No wonder that.
She said he went through, his tech got a whole bunch of fuzz pedals, and that was the closest thing he could to replicate it. I said, it's a guitar fuzz. She said, it doesn't matter. That's exactly what he used. If it's good enough for Larry, it's good enough for me. And also the fact that Prince had heard Larry use it and said, you have to have that pedal. And that was it. So I bought one.
Well, the original Larry Graham tune was the acoustic 360 fuzz circuit.
Yeah.
Which never played through one. That is quite an adventure.
Well, Bobby Vega has some videos where he's talking to people about the rig, and he said, well, I used to play Led Zeppelin tunes, and he just goes to the drive control and the acoustic. And everyone's like, oh, God, the roof's shaking away. Well, that's what they used to use. That's what they used.
Because it was all valve. I mean, that was that whole thing. Because that little box sat up top, and the power amp section with all the valves was in the bottom of the box.
Yeah.
I had one. We about blew the walls down with it.
That's it. Tristan, I want all the live trio Prince stuff he did. There's going to be loads of this stuff coming out. The estate have said they've literally just got to get all the copyright clearance, because the problem is the catalogue now is spread over so many owners that they have to get authorization from all of them before each box set comes out, which makes it all real hard. Live Hendrix style shredding. Ollie, I've heard Mark's got a new Jaydee in the works, ready for the World Machine Tour. Pearl Pink. Yeah, I've seen it. Seen the pictures. Yeah, I can't say why or how, but I have. And there is something else, but I can't tell you online. No. We'll discuss that off, mister. Regarding a blue Jaydee.
Right.
Right, Tristan Green, 1 + 1 + 1 is 3. Yes, superb track. Rainbow Children, yes, minus the low voice in the beginning. It's Prince, isn't it? Gareth, have to shoot. Was a pleasure to chat with you. Cheers, Gaz. Have a good week. Yes, we're up to date on the messages. Yeah, so all good.
Yes, indeed.
So yes, I think he's got a new thing in the works. I don't know why he needs another one. He doesn't use the ones he's got, so clearly got a thing going on. Oh, well, I guess World Machine Tour. Actually, there isn't a huge amount of photos from that period, but I don't think he used the pink Jaydee until '86. So
Wembley is when
yeah, I don't think he had that before. Maybe he's preambling. Maybe they're going to do some sort of box set or something for next year. Who knows?
that'd be smashing. 'Cause, I mean, you know what? That's the Wembley bit when we're going to sing. You're all going to sing the chant. Okay, well, out the pink JD, and my eyes went oh, and that was it.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
You're shaking your head over there as you're puffing away. Right, that's how it was. Pink splat. We go.
Well, as I said, I think it was last week's live chat, or it might have been another one. Or it might actually been one of the impromptu live chats I've done over the past week. We were talking about this anyway. Next time I speak to Barry Morehouse, which will be soon. I was on the phone to him last week. I want him to clarify.
Okay.
The day after Bank Holiday Monday at the end of May in 1987, was that the busiest day the Bass Centre ever had? Because it was the day after Live at Wembley had been on TV and simulcast with Radio 1 the night before.
Yeah.
I suspect that possibly could be the busiest day that shop ever known. And I bet they didn't have enough Jaydee and Trace Elliott stock.
Wouldn't surprise me a bit.
Discuss.
Wouldn't surprise me. Oh, are you kidding? I mean, so Rich, you and Jay don't know this, and I'm going to share with you. The first JD I purchased was a Tobacco Burst Roadie 2A.
Right.
And it had come to me from a guy who had it. He was really quite taken with the JDs, and he actually ordered a GA24 in 1990, brand new. He still got it. And John had sent him a bunch of T-shirts and a bunch of swag. He has a JD jacket. I'm going to go visit with him at some time because he's in Indiana, so he's a couple states up. But if I can get a good scan of the shirt, I'm going to recreate it because you can't find him anywhere. And it's legit solid 80s. But anyway, this thing I got from him, he had picked it up from a guitar show and they were getting ready to pack everything away and zoop, down it went and snapped the headstock in half. So he, Jay, easy. I saw that. So he had it repaired. He had it done right. So, I mean, if you look at the headstock and you kind of go, Jay, look at yours. If you go past the A string tuner going up towards the V, that's where it snapped. And so they had to repair it right. So right up at the top above the logo on the A string side. So they repaired it and everything. They set it up. It was absolutely smashing when they were done with it. No pun intended. It was solid. And that was the first one I got to have a go at. And it was, I think I paid $1,100 for it, even with the fix. The action on it was so low, but that was the moment that I determined that I was gonna have a few. You know, when you walk in the store and go, I'll have that. Oh, I'll have that. So I started looking around, and that's when I started getting them from across the pond. So that's what started it. And it's ironic because I had another Roadie 2A just like it. It was Tobacco Burst, except the clear coat was green. And if you looked at the stripe, I know it's kind of crazy. If you looked up, it was an 86. If you looked at the stripe on the back of the neck, the maple stripe is in the middle. It was green. And it was the craziest thing because I hadn't seen another one like it, honestly. And that one was just busting at the seams. So everyone that I've gotten, except for what's now the fretless to my over here, I've had sent in. I've ordered in, from over there with you guys. And I've spoke with Mike Diggins so many times because I had the it was the kind of natural mahogany, but it was the one with a lot of grain on it. It wasn't very red. It was more of a flat brownish, blondish wood color that was fretless with a lined ebony fingerboard and a bound headstock. And Mike told me that he remembers buffing that one when he was 18 years old, and that was also in 1986. So, I've kind of bonded with these, but it was because of the pink one on. As soon as he brought out the pink Series 1 at Wembley, it was on. I only had one pink bass prior to that one. It was actually an 87 Stingray that somebody had done in a transparent pink that turned salmon when you turned it sideways. Nice. I've got a photo of that one somewhere. I may have to send that to you so you can have a good giggle. But
a bit like my Kubicki that changes hue.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So ever since then, it's like, once again, now everybody suddenly goes, "Oh, we like pink guitars," but you know what I'm saying? It took a moment because I've had pink basses for 20 years. There you go. Yep. Looks like an orange dreamsicle, then it turns pink, and then it turns right. That's the one. Yep.
Which was the Jaydee you had, which you took the headstock off because of a certain YouTuber not treating it too well?
You mean this?
Yeah, it's that one.
Woo, that one. So actually, this neck came off of what's that fretless now.
Gotcha.
This neck is so knackered. There's no way I could use this in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I can't show you all the details on here because I don't think I can get it close enough. But if you look really closely, you'll start to see where the wood got split and carved up, especially right in here. I'll see how close I get that right in there, crack. Because the guy, and then of course it had a repair right here, where it had
I seem
been.
to remember him doing work on it he'd done some work on the videos, hadn't he?
Well, see yeah, and I mean, this thing from what Toby told me when I first sent it to him, I asked Mike. I said, "Where do I cut this till I can just send you the body and all the bits? Because this is rubbish. This is just hanging on the wall." And he told me where to cut it. So that's if you saw that video, there's the cut line. Mm-hmm. But this thing is just knackered. There's no way it was going to get used ever again because the wood is in. Somebody did that thing that Ollie was talking about and shaved it down, but they shaved it down so far that the truss rod started to come through.
Oof.
So,
that's like exposing a bone to your finger, isn't it?
Well, I mean, there was no way that this was going to hold tension, especially if I put a fingerboard back on it and tried to make it useful, because this repair up here was done so badly. It goes back here. You can see there's a chunk of the wood taken out right up through there.
Yeah.
So, but to answer your question, this is the fretless tune that I just showed you, the bright pink one. This is the neck. That's the rest of it. So, that it was funny to do that because I was watching everybody go when I did that. But I mean, it had to be done because I remember Mike sent me a photo and drew a line. He took the photo I sent him and drew a line and said, "Cut it here." So, out came the saw, zip, off it went, and Paul Ruthven and some of those other guys just went, so. But
it's not good. It's not good.
It had to be done. So, because that's how I saved it. Because believe me, I mean, I let me show you this, because this is the only one that he's told me right now that Toby has done that actually he couldn't get to use screws on these, so they're magnetized.
Magnets, yeah.
Because the screw holes were so bad that they couldn't sort it. This is done the same. The battery cover here is just magnetized. He said it's the first time they've ever done it because the body was so bad they couldn't get all the old screws out, and they'd all been knackered and tweaked up. So there was no way.
Happens.
It does. It's kind of like that one, Jay. You remember this one as well on the. I posted it somewhere along the way. The one from eBay that was painted gold, that they wanted $4,000 for it. I was like, not today. No. So, and then the guy was a real tosser when I spoke with him. So I mean, can you tell we just went tosser? We didn't go further. So anyway, or shall we say he was a punter? Let's go with that. So, needless to say, he was not very nice. Well, and you don't know what you're talking about. This is mine. Okay, well, guess what? Go look online, and then we'll talk later. So right. So anyway, but all that to say, the pink one started it, and I've had 20 of them. So,
but that's nothing compared to your Rickenbacker addiction.
Well, that's 180. But anyway, but the question is, what do I play more of now?
He makes me feel better every week when I look at all the ones I've got. So I suddenly feel all right when he says that. So it's all good.
Yeah. these things. Well, I mean, again, here's the rule though. I don't have like a big colossal collection, because what I would do is I had a rule and I still have it. If I don't play, it don't stay. So,
Same here. Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
So, I mean,
I don't follow that.
If it's earning,
really,
if it's earning, it gets kept.
Yeah.
If it isn't earning me, no, it goes.
Right. Well, see that, and that's the thing, because I think, I mean, these are lovely tools to make something beautiful musically, and music is a language everybody speaks in some capacity, whether it's playing or whether it's listening, or it takes them to a memory, good, bad, what have you. And so my thinking,
Apart from the Smiths.
right. Just remember, meat is murder. Anyway, so
on my gravestone, I will have, I told you the Smiths and the Cure were shite.
See, well, that's, you've got to get
I
kind
agree entirely.
Well done, sir.
Your eyelashes.
Extra brownie points for you. While we're nattering away, I need to quickly go through the community top fans notice. So this week at the moment, not that we haven't finished yet.
Right.
Wolf. Oh no, Mike, you got to reset, because this is only up to the point that video is showing. Just bear with me 2 seconds. It will pop up here on this window. We are at. Here we go. Come on. Top fans. Wolf fans at the moment. You're all first, 150 XP. Stacy, second, 125. Gareth Harrison, you've dropped off anyway, but 100 XP.
Go, Stacy.
You can make it to the top of the board. You don't get to all these points you accrue. You don't get them as anything to spend. You just end up top of the leaderboard. And when you come in here on future live chats, you're given a little badge. So apparently that's how it works. New feature YouTube have introduced.
So points don't actually mean prizes. That might.
No, not yet. Although in preparation for the 5th anniversary at the end of the month, I'm building a little tub of goodies, which we may either auction off for charity or we'll do something anyway.
So in other words, he's sending me his Jaydee.
No. So there's a very nice fetching Ashdown cap that I was sent.
Very nice,
I haven't
yes.
worn. Haven't worn. Still got the tags on. I've got a very nice. I only found this a couple of hours ago. I completely forgot I had this. So in my loft, I found, which is very pertinent for today, I found this.
There you go.
That's got to be
a Mark King Ashdown poster. Very good.
The one.
1998 with a Status Empathy in his hands, which he never played. There we go. So that a whole bunch of things that I'm finding in my tubs as we're clearing out the loft. So these things, this was probably sent to me by Ashdown. It's just sat there. So we
have to contribute to the prize.
I will find things.
I think I've got something to contribute to the prize stash.
Have you now? You can bring that with you.
These are wristbands with a bass clef on them.
Excellent.
Very good.
Tell you what, bring them over with you when you come. We'll do a second round at some point later in the year.
Right, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a friend of mine. He has his own kind of bassware, and I've got a couple sets of those when I play. And a spare set that have never been worn, never been touched out of the plastic and all that.
Cool. Very nice. Ollie, you're squeamish, but you're not squeamish, but that Jaydee neck is making you cringe. James says there's a video of him cutting it off. We're talking the neck here, aren't we? Yeah. Dan Johnson, is the body of the Jaydee bass guitar body of the Alembic bass guitar? Yes, Jaydees are based on Alembic. So Alembics were out in the 70s. Started in 69. Jaydee started somewhere in the mid to late 70s, and the idea was to make a cheaper British available version of something that looked like a Jaydee. Big body, through neck, multi-laminate, good electronics. Exactly. There you go. So that's what
77.
What's that?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
There's that T-shirt, bred in 77 or whatever, born in 77.
Something like that. Yeah, but this is John's book.
Yeah, got that.
Yeah.
Right.
But But that was the idea, was the fact that Alembics were very hard to come by over here in the UK. So there was a market to be filled there, and Jaydee went straight in there. And fortunately for him, Mark King chose to use a Jaydee instead of a wall, which is actually what he went out to look for, and stumbled across this bass. They rang John Diggins, will you take 500 quid? He said, yes, but you can't have the case. So Mark had to walk home. Well, not walk. He went via the tube back to South London with a Jaydee slung around his neck. Didn't even have it in a bag. There we go. Ollie, like getting the leg chopped off. Yes. Not quite Daniel, similar though. Yep.
Ollie, I'll look on my Facebook page and videos, and you'll find the video of me having a go with a saw.
Amputations done for free.
Hello, doctor. Your Jaydee is down. Done.
Yeah, you'll take that off at the ankle.
Right.
So yes, so here we are. It's coming up 5 to 11. Live chat 118 here on Brooks's Bass Corner, all the way from London town here in the UK. If you got any questions, anything you'd like to add to tonight's live chat, feel free. We can run for another 5 minutes, or we can do a little longer, however works for everyone else. And as I said at the start, we're going to do next week, and that's the live chats finished for June. When we go into July, I'm going to try and do a vertical live streams. Now, I have no idea how StreamYard is going to process this when we're having multiple chats. I think what it does is it creates one window for the host, and then the extra chats run along the bottom, which you're hardly going to see. But I don't know how it works. I might do a test run. Might do a test run next week, during the week, not when we do live chat, and just see how it looks, how it works. Because now I'm using the live chats to create remix shorts. It's all got to tally up. We will see. We will see. Oh, hold on. There's a load of message. Daniel Johnson, why did Mark King return Bernie Goodfellow's guitars to him? Was it because they did not sound the same? I will answer to the best of my knowledge. So Mark had a bee in his bonnet that, in his eyes, Bernie didn't create two basses that sounded exactly the same. We've had this discussion on the live chats. It is almost nigh on impossible to do that. You can't create two basses that sound exactly the same. I've been to Warwick's factory, basically. Two basses made from two bits of wood from the same tree, same pickup, circuit, hardware, strings, everything the same. They then played both basses through a stereoscope, and the waveforms are different across the whole frequency range. So even with two bits of wood from the same tree, it's nigh on impossible.
There you go, Mikey. Here we go.
Yeah, but so what are your findings? Are those three sound exactly the same?
Not at all. They don't play the same.
There we go.
Feel the same.
So that's one reason why the basses were returned to Bernie. Another reason was Bernie wanted paying for the basses he'd given Mark. Mark wanted the basses for free, but Bernie needed the money in order to independent luthier. Mark had several basses, wanted the basses to keep for free, and there was a disagreement. There is also a story that I've heard from several sources that Mark was beating the living daylights out of those basses, and one of the basses, a fret or two popped out, at which point there was a disagreement. Now, all 3-4 of those things might be true, might not. There might be hearsay. I'm only recounting the stories I've heard. So from various sources, not just one side of the divide. But yes, yes, they didn't sound the same. Not sure I'd be able to stomach such a video from Ollie. Okay. Howie, do you remember Jamie Millard, the pink Jaydee swap with that checkered Rick?
Yes.
Discuss.
So I had this 1977 Rick bass that had actually flown from here across the pond, and there was this lovely pink, just, I don't even know how to explain it, just massive pink Jaydee. Of course, Howie's going to remember, because I think Howie and I have nattered on about Jaydee so many times it's not even funny. Mr. Never 42 himself. Hey, so that's right. Yeah, and I remember that quite well, actually. And It was a lot of fun. I mean, what's crazy about the checkered Rick is actually now currently owned by one Rick Nielsen of Cheap Trick. As he purchased it from me, he reached out to me and purchased it.
He reached out to you. Oh,
yeah.
Please give it to me.
Give it to me. Yeah. Because, I mean, it had Cheap Trick written all over it. I used it on a prog rock gig along with a couple of other pink odds and sods that I had. It served its purpose, but it went to the Cheap Trick collection. But yes, I do remember the swap, of course.
Before I forget, while we're nattering and having a lovely evening, please give this video a thumbs up. Please give any of the videos on the channel a thumbs up. It's the most important thing you can do for me, the channel, for the video. Helps to promote the channel within the algorithm. Thumbs up, very important. Comments are fabulous as well. And please feel free to share this video and other videos from the channel out across social media, email, websites. Very important. I don't ask for subscribers because it's a vanity metric. It doesn't count for anything, but please, if you can give the video a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Carry on the sermon, Reverend.
Right. We are gathered here today
for what you are about to receive.
We are gathered here today to talk about this thing. Life. Anyway,
yes,
Prince moment, moving right along.
Yeah.
So Philippe has asked, favorite Mark King moment.
Phil DeHove, you legend, you.
That's right. So favorite moment. Okay, I mentioned Nick Kershaw earlier. That was quite a bit on that one.
Yeah.
Yep, easy.
So much so that until the last tour, Nick Kershaw wouldn't perform it live. And I think Paul Geary may have suggested it to him because he fancied getting his fingers around it.
Right.
Which is why he brought out the Steinberger on the last tour so that he could do that song justice. I
would have thought Dennis Smith would have been able to cover it.
Dennis Smith hasn't played with. I see what you mean. I don't know. I don't know what but since Nick came out of like semi-retirement back in the late 90s, 98, I think was his first tour back.
Yeah.
All those tours he's done, they never played easy until the last tour.
That's really interesting because I mean that's a cracking line.
Lovely line. Lovely line.
So yeah.
But you know, I mean, I've been in that position where bass players have been, oh, you've got to do this line. Oh, by the way, the original player was Mark King, and they just go like a shade of white, and they just don't want to go there.
Yeah,
this is what it is, you know.
What do you lads think? I've given you mine. What do you think?
Good to see you, Phil. Go on, Rich. Do you know the track?
What?
About Easy by Nick Kershaw. Mark King's the bass player on it.
Yes.
Have you heard it?
Yes. Yes.
Thoughts?
I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. I'd say hire somebody else. You know.
I think I'd have a go.
Yeah, I'd have a go. Normally with Mark lines, once you sit once you sit and break it down into chunks, and you can, none of it comes quickly. It's all a practice thing. And he was such he could pluck passages out of nowhere, and you think, what the hell where's his head gone? Because he has that harmonic headspace. You hear it on the solo stuff all the time. Yeah. And you always knew a Mark King solo track compared to a Level 42 band track.
No question.
When he's left to his own devices, he goes off on musical tangents. And I'm wondering if maybe some of that might have had an effect predating the One Man album. Because if you hear oh God, where's my cassette? It's in that box. Before One Man, about a year earlier, the demos that he was putting out there appeared on bootleg cassettes.
Yep.
So some of those tracks appear on Trash, but some of them aren't anywhere other than on that cassette. And again, you listen to it, the musicality is just what you'd expect from Mark. But I think some of that might have scared some of the record companies away. They've just gone, no, it's just a bit too avant-garde. You know, it's like influences on crack. It's just like, woo! And people just go, how do we sell this? You know, Influences has never been a big selling album. Having said that, it did pay the deposit on his first house, but
wasn't most of the stuff for one man? Mark was writing stuff in mind for other people, but everyone just kept on saying,
highly likely.
Hearing that.
Yeah. When I got that cassette, so that would have been late '97. I remember listening to it. I remember getting home. It was actually, we had a meeting for the Level 42 tribute band, and one of the guys who wanted to be in it but actually couldn't play anything had this cassette, and he did a copy for all of us while we were there. I'm like, you seem very free and willing with your pirate copies of stuff. And I got it home, and I was like, because got to remember, you got to put it in the context of the time.
Right.
In November '97, as far as we were all concerned, Mark had sold all of his equipment at the Bass Center. We all thought he'd retired. We thought that's it. There's nothing, because we misread the situation. When the Bass Center announced they had all his basses and amps there, we thought he's retired. But no, he was making space because he didn't need all the gear, and he was paying 10 grand to John Henry's every 6 months for their racking. So we hear this cassette of stuff, and it's like, what's this for? What's he doing? Within a year, there's a solo album. He's out doing shows.
Yep.
This is the thing. You can't go back and reference either the email digest or the web digest because none of it exists. It's all gone. Although I say that. A
few odds and sods on there because I was on it as well.
Bear with me 2 seconds. I have. Let me see. I think I did this
there at the very end. I don't know.
I've got 2. Is it just 2? I've got 2 emails here from the 13th and 14th of September 2001. So just after 9/11. So this was when everyone on the email digest was trying to check that Winston, Lolita, all the American fans were okay. First message, can we have a head count ASAP from Nigel Collier, who worked at the University of Newcastle. Steve Robson, these are all names some people might recognize. Paul Facito, Purple 7017, Dreaming Lady, Dean Osborne, 10th Son, David Lowndes. These are all Angela Armstrong. So as I recall, I'm trying to remember to the best of my memory, Lolita was in the South Tower and got out. Winston was downtown, but was, as I recall, due to go to the Twin Towers that day, and he didn't. Here we go. And no, Winston and Lolita, they're both okay. Lolita was in one of the towers when both planes hit. She managed to make it out before the buildings fell. I don't know about Antonio Perez or Anthony Richards. Let's hope Antonio wasn't among the casualties from the emergency services. So even back then, we had quite a group. Yeah, their email servers were destroyed because they were on site. Does anyone know if they've got Hotmail, Yahoo? Lars Ove Larsen. I remember Lars, he used to chat all the time. Michael Monson, Charles Mock, blimey, seeing all these names. Don Zed bought the Moon Jazz Fretless from the Bass Center that was used on 7 years on Guaranteed. He also bought a red GB Spitfire, called it Ruby. Don't know what's happened to either of those basses. I've never seen the Moon Jazz come back out. Someone did mention to me, whoever's got it now might have had it refretted. So that's a possibility. Right, going through these messages. Do I remember? We've done that. Phil, yeah. Ollie, I've always wondered what happened to Ashley Pangborn. Now, there's a question. Nick Smith trying to decipher that. I know he went to work for Gibson in Germany, since vanished off the face of the earth. Now, some people have been trying to get hold of him because Nick still had a couple of basses that were Pangborns, but not Warlords or Warlocks. There was another model, wasn't there?
Yep.
What's the other model?
I got to think about it.
Okay. There was a model he had in his collection that didn't look anything like a Pangborn, and Ali and I were wondering if someone had made a bass and just stuck Pangborn on it in order to sell it. which might happen. We don't know. Ollie, I can play easy just by the skin of my teeth. What, just with the skin of your teeth? I bet that sounds good. I'm joking. I'm joking with you. You know that. Dan Johnson, does anyone know who was the percussion player? Leroy Williams.
Uh-huh.
And what happened to him? Don't know. Aha.
They did.
I think
they did. He's disappeared now.
Right.
Yeah. No.
Mike? They did the Warrior, the Warlord, and the Chieftain.
Thank you.
Was the other one.
Okay. I'm not sure if that's the one that Ali has got, and I don't know if she sold it or not. I was wondering if they bought Leroy Williams back out for that Mark King and Friends at Ronnie's. They didn't. They had a percussion. Miles Bald came out for that. For some reason, I had it in my head. They pulled him out for something. Might have been to play with Billy Cobham. He did a couple of shows with Billy Cobham. I'm wondering if Leroy Williams was on that.
High Tension were trying to find Leroy because he was in High Tension first, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And they put a thing out 5, 6, 7 years ago where I was saying people keep on asking, we do not know, we can't get hold of him.
He may have passed away. Who knows? Phil, I'm curious, forgive me, that's all right. Mark King on If You Were Mine, featuring Alan Holdsworth. Holdsworth is all over the Guaranteed album. So for those of us that attended late 1990 shows, I was there the very first night when Holdsworth walked out at Cardiff Uni, and we all went, they got Holdsworth, because Holdsworth was Alan Murphy's guitar god. So it made sense that A, they get him in, and B, he was Gary Holdsworth's boss. So Gary Holdsworth, Gary Husband's. That's the twin. Gary Husband's boss. So it was easy to make that line of communication. Ollie Bound, 2026, the return of Ashley Pangborn. Can't see it myself, mate.
Right.
Can't see it myself. What's the thing? Someone kept banging on about something the other day, and it's like, that ain't gonna happen. Can't remember. I think it was on Ultimate Level 42. Right. Well, here's a point of discussion. I know what my perception of this, knowing Mr. King, and I think I know what his answer is going to be. Level 42 fans in America requesting very strongly that the band go and play in America.
Yep.
Discuss. Off you go.
Off we go. While we're off we going, have a look in your Facebook message. I sent you something. So off we go then, lads. Nice. I've seen that photo before. I would love that bass. That was the first one anyway. So I would love it if they came across, because the only way I could get to see them is if I come across when they're performing. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people here on this side of the pond who agree, which is why whoever put that little fan film together to say please, because there's a live gig on YouTube from Boston 1987. Mm-hmm. And if you listen to that one, that's where the lyrics to The Sun Goes Down were slightly adjusted. That's happened on many occasions. It was on the Printemps du Bourge on the World Machine Tour as well, because that one's on. That one, that and The Sun Goes Down on there with, something about, until the sun goes Chinese way. Right. Sorry, the Chinese way. Sorry. And I love games. He does it for his own personal amusement. He does, and everybody who cracks up about it thinks it's hilarious because, it is what it is. But he had some banter, some little bits he was nattering on about on the Boston show. That was pretty funny, actually, because he kept going on that line. Mm-hmm. But I think there's enough people on this side of the pond that saw the tour where they did Letterman and they did all that thing and they opened up Madonna and did all that, where they'd love to see it again. And we don't get the opportunity on this side for them to fly across. Right. No, but when they came over in 2010, they made a loss. And so the thing you have to remember, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. If Mark watches this, he won't watch this. But if ever what we're about to say gets back to it, he knows he can contact me and we can discuss it if he wants to discuss it. Right. He's at an age where the pension is calling. Right. The bottom line is, this is a means of work. This is not a record selling exercise anymore. So every performance has to bring the money in.
doesn't work for free.
Right.
So I mentioned, I think last week on the live chat, I know what he insists on as his bottom line payment for every gig he does. And if he doesn't get it, they ain't playing. That's the deal.
Yep.
Now, the problem is they came over there in 2010. Okay, the Level 42 brand has got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm not saying they're not going to come. But it's totally out of anyone's hands but Mark and Mike.
True.
So unless they both decide, Mike might want to do it. Mark might go, well, I'm not going. So you can't have a Level 42 tour without Mark.
But
the bottom line is, where did that? Yeah. The problem is that last tour they made a loss, and I don't know if it was the way the tour was planned or the promotion, whatever. Bums on seats, not enough merch sales, whatever. That will have seriously stung Mark that they made a loss. It doesn't go out to make a loss. The music business has changed so radically in the last 15 years that they ain't going to make any money. They'll make money on music being played. They don't get money really very much on music sales because there aren't any music sales.
No, they get it on T-shirts.
So if the last turnout wasn't good enough, that's still resonating in there, probably, highly likely. And unless a promoter is going to come to Mark, bear in mind, they never did huge sellout tours in America off their own bat. They did tours, but not, they weren't selling out hockey arenas and what have you, 20, 30,000.
Sure.
Unless a promoter is going to say, we're going to give you this and we're going to give you that for every gig. He ain't going to go over there on the promise of ticket sales and merch sales. It ain't going to happen. So it needs a promoter who's willing to put their money down. Now, the problem is you're going about it. Sorry, I'm pointing and it's not pointing. The people who want this to happen are going to the wrong people. You've got to go to the promoters.
Yes.
You've got to go to whichever company Mark used in America. But unless a promoter picks up Level 4, Mark is not going to finance their own tour. It's going to need a promoter to come in with a lot of money and say, we're going to give it a big push. But what's in it for the promoters?
It would have to be part of an 80s, like an 80s.
It needs to be. So in Australia earlier this year, I think Nick Kershaw and Go West went out on a double heading tour. That's what Level 42 have to do. But find me another 80s artist that are big enough that would be willing to do that. Now, an artist like Duran Duran doesn't need it. They'll go and do it themselves.
Right.
So you now find another 8, maybe Tears for Fears would be a good mix because they have a very solid touring base in America.
Seen them twice.
But until a promoter can lump that, I could be proved totally wrong. And next week, Mark goes, we're going out to America. But the fact that they were going to go to Australia before COVID and that got banged on the head and that tour has not been rescheduled. And as far as I can tell, probably won't be. And you also have to remember, Mark's getting on and the voice is not the voice of a 20-year-old. You go abroad to do American shows, you pick up a virus or some sort of throat infection or whatever, the voice goes, you're in stuck. You got to cover that promoter's costs.
Right.
It's not as simple as just rocking up to America and we'll do a 20-date tour. It ain't. So all these people banging on, well, we deserve, you don't deserve anything.
Nope.
No one deserves anything. If you buy a ticket for a show, you deserve a good gig, but you don't deserve to be able to go backstage and hang out for 2 hours and be a pain in the ass. But people, it's the age of entitlement. I've had this discussion with other Level 42 fans. Why can't I meet him? Well, why should you be allowed to? What's there on the ticket that says, and if you're lucky, you get to meet him? Hey, remember the I'll meet you at the bar comment in 2001, which caused a huge ruckus because stupid people who are a bit not up there thought when he said at the gig, I'll see you at the bar, that's what was going to happen. He was going to come out to the bar and hang out. He don't do that. So, but people assumed it and they went on, they vented their spleen for months, which is why I can still remember it as a running joke because now you just put see at the bar and those who know. And that's what happened. So people have this sense of entitlement where Mark is involved because they've seen live at Wembley and they think he's a bit of a chirpy chap, which on occasion he is, but he's no different to anyone else. And if he doesn't want to sit there and meet fans, he ain't going to.
Right. Well, it's the same with every band. I mean, that one of the things.
I'll get off the soapbox now.
Okay. And today the Right Reverend Brooks has spoken.
I have.
Yeah. Right.
Jay, what do you think? Because you said you've been speaking to some people.
After one gig on the last for either 22 or 23, I spoke to Mike about that, and I've also spoken to one of the, I think it was the sound guy as well for them, and
Mark
said
Hamilton.
about going to America, and I said, loads of people been calling out for it and stuff like that, and they both said we would love to. If the band had the promotion and the guaranteed of the seats on, bums on seats and everything else, they'd be over there like a shot. But unless it pays, it's a business. That's what the people that are chiming up saying, "Oh, why won't you play in this 2-bit village in the middle of nowhere? Because that's where I live." You're not going to do it if it doesn't pay. It's still a business for them. However much,
The problem is people still think touring is based on what it used to be in the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s, which is basically the record company would underfund it and they would put money into touring because it guaranteed album sales. Well, there are no album sales. There's no single sales. So no record company does that anymore, which is why all the big acts are constantly out touring all the time because that's their income, and without that, they've got no money coming in, which is why you get all these, like 70s, 80s and 90s has-beens playing until they're in their 70s because that's all they know. And at the time that they had success, they didn't take that money and pour it into a business that they could have running as a passive sideline after the event.
Yep. I know a few who've done that, but it's a good point, because if that's all you do, no matter how much you are loved and appreciated and all that, it's still about every day going to the market. It's, what are we doing today? We're going to Tesco. Yeah. It's routine for everybody. So it doesn't matter really where you fall in the, excuse the expression, pecking order. It all boils down to the fact that you still have to eat, put your trousers on and do all the things you do. And I see that sometimes. Some of the artists that I play for, they've been up top. They've been on top of the world, and then kind of like Mike, what you and I have spoken. I think Rich was with us on this one before. Jay, for you, the nostalgia is huge, and because nostalgia is huge, it simply means that everybody wants to go back and they want to live in that moment. To your thing, everybody's at Wembley. Everybody's sitting there going, "Oh, I'm at Wembley. Oh, well, okay, you're going to sing, 'Damn right, the chant has begun.'" They're going to do all that kind of thing because that's what they remember. That's what they associate a memory with it that is a place in time that they treasure in their head.
Yep.
And they don't realize that time has moved on. even if we're all getting on and doing all that thing, people still don't think too much about it. And so some of the ones I've played for and with that had that moment, they're not up here, they're here somewhere, but the fans are the ones that support them and keep them moving. And to your point, if they're not out touring until they're Keith Richards, anyway, so they don't have anything to go on. But there's a few who came up along the way who've kind of invested in other things that are making big bucks. And if they want to go play, they can do that anytime, anywhere. And it doesn't really matter, because then they're doing it for themselves and for the fans, because they don't have to worry about, are they going to be able to buy a pint afterward? Real simple. Or take your pick, Yep. So, it is a business, Jay. To your point, it is absolutely a business, because if that's what you do and that's what puts food on the table and cupcakes in Mike's studio and all that kind of thing, it's
red wine.
or red wine, can't forget the red wine. So but it's constant. Everybody who's out touring and doing their bit right now is doing it for the very same reason, because like Mike said, that is your avenue right now. That is your spot. And that's why you see so many people who make commentaries and they make memes out of them and stuff that say, buy a t-shirt from a band because it'll give them more income than if you listen to 500 streams on, pick and choose Spotify or what have you. I mean, because those are just theft. Let's just call it for what it is. Those are theft because they don't pay anything and they provide it as a service, and they're getting paid to provide the service, but they're absolutely stroking the artist, and that's the end of it. You know.
Definitely.
There we go.
Yeah.
Rich, what do you think? Level 42 to America.
Won't happen. Not at all. No. I would say there isn't a
you have to
case for it
yes.
from, of course, this end, and I think in the US the fandom isn't there.
Unless you find a promoter who's going to put their money where their mouth is and they know they're going to sell out.
Right,
but promoters in the US got the same problems as those here in the UK and Europe.
All over.
Ticket sales are high, but lots of bands are having to cancel gigs and what have you because they can't sell.
Yeah.
And the prices are so high because the venues a lot of it is tied into Live Nation. So
absolutely.
Last year and the year before, we had the thing like the Pearl Jam cancellation, the Heart cancellation, blah, 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 blah. And what it was those bands and artists were tied into Live Nation, and Live Nation owns the venue. So Live Nation hires the venue to the band. If the band don't shift enough tickets, Live Nation still get paid, but the band gets screwed. So either way, Live Nation do okay. The band lose their reputation.
Right.
That's half the problem.
That's most of the problem, actually. And I mean, there's two sides to that, because Live Nation, of course, if you're not being serviced by Live Nation, there's a lot of complaints. If you aren't being serviced by Live Nation, I've heard this, they do things, and there's perks for the bands, but ultimately I still go back to the idea that the band is taking it in the shorts. So that's just, I've watched, having and being a part of it a lot of the time really kind of puts it in perspective, especially if you want to do an original band, or if you're going to try to connect with someone on one of the tours that a couple of 80s bands get together and go on about. You really have to think about those things, because it will be the band that gets knackered in the end anyway.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. Scary, scary, scary. Right, it's coming up to 11:30. I think we'll wrap this up, gents. It's a long night. Jay's ready for bed. He's been up. He's got to get up early too.
Well, you got
your status screws on Thursday, young man.
Got to have another cup of tea.
That's it. You need a pint of curry. That's what you need.
That's what he needs there.
Schmoozing with Billy Sheehan, and of all things, I don't know.
I'm
glad he's good. Yes, sir.
While I think about it, on September the 7th, are we going out for a curry afterwards?
That I'm not sure, because until we get timings, we don't know, because I've got to get the man with the pink beard back to Heathrow for his flight.
Right.
So until we know if it's a lunchtime bash and we can do something late afternoon, early evening, yes, definitely. Otherwise, that escapade may well have to happen on the Friday, but we'll see. Everything will be announced as and when we find out what the timings of that thing is. At the moment, according to today's messages, this man in the bottom left-hand corner thinks he's coming in on the Thursday and flying out Monday morning.
Or Monday afternoon, really. I'm thinking more like Monday afternoon. That way we can.
What time you got to be back for Florida?
I'm actually not doing Florida, because I'm going to do this instead.
Okay, well that makes a difference.
That's easier, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, I love the Florida show because I've done it for the past 8 years. But it's only once in this lifetime do I get to celebrate my dear departed mate.
Yeah.
And true. I would rather sacrifice the gig to come about and meet all the lads and some of the gals, of course, and have a curry and, fetch about something blue.
You may find, because your mate's helping you get the tickets, you may find she books you on the early flight and you can do Florida, because if you get the earlier flight, you may find it's considerably cheaper.
Well, I'm looking at that as well, because I was looking at British Airways and I was looking at some American Airlines, not American Airlines itself, but the ones here. And I think I can do fairly well if I play it right. And I don't mind sitting around for a bit, because as soon as we launch off to come across the pond, I'm going to go to sleep anyway. So now you have the overnight flight, so I wake up for a full English breakfast and a cup of tea.
But we will disclose it all, Richard, once we know. Just
No
very
problem, that's
quickly,
fine.
Ollie, I found the way Mark's voice has aged kind of strange. He's 66, which all things considered is not old. 5 years, he sounded great. And then just after 2021, his voice deteriorated significantly. Got two things to say there. Heavy smoker through most of his life. And he had COVID very early on. And I know for a fact that's why he stopped the meets and greets. And also now why he tends not to schmooze after gigs is he cannot risk getting ill, because if it means they have to cancel rest of dates on a tour, he doesn't want that. So I think I've not spoken to him about it, but I think I spoke to my editor about it. I think it shook him up, if I'm honest. But that, I mean, listen to Shania Twain. Her voice changed after she got bitten by a tick and she got Lyme's disease. She then got COVID during COVID, and that has knackered her voice, basically. It's happened to a few singers. COVID, the early strains of COVID were nasty. Whether people believe in it or not.
I know that one.
Yeah, yes, you do. So I think that's probably, but also the heavy smoking, years of playing. Mark's voice is kind of mid-upper range. So there's a lot of stress and strains on that as well. You know, doing long tours takes its toll. Ollie, a bit of vocal training and he'll be fine. Well, we'll see soon, won't we? Because they're going to be on a 2-month tour. Whether or not he'll do said vocal training is another story. Correct. It's a bit like when I said to him, why don't you do an instructional DVD? Well, I'll say I will, but whether I do it is another thing. On that note, gents, thank you very much. Richard, Jay, another Jay, fabulous, good performance tonight. Well done, dudes. Thank you very much. Everyone who's been involved on the live chat, superb, excellent stuff. Thank you to all new subscribers. Thank you for the likes, the comments, the shares. We can do this all again next Tuesday, same time, same place. Have a great week. If you're out gigging, yes, more JDs, of course. If you're out gigging, have a great time. Status. We'll do Status and Alembic next week, Rich, I promise. Okay. If you're out driving, be careful. There are idiots on the road. Take care of yourselves. See you next week. Take it easy.
Cheers all.